Oh, we will live.
Finally. We're sitting there like,
I pressed the live
what's
button.
happening?
It's just going. It's just like it took a while for us to go live. Hi everyone.
Hello.
Hello. We're covering a lot of important news today. The most important one being the first one, I think. Right? Yes. I don't know about the other 9 news because Susanna is the one that picks them and researches them and like fact checks them and summarizes them and comes in here and does a lot of work before we go live. So thank you, Susie. Everybody, please in the live chat say thank you, Susie, for all the hard work she does for preparing these shows.
And thank you to the rest of the Atheist Republic team because I couldn't do it without everyone else that we have behind the scenes.
Yes, we can't name all of them because a lot of them are anonymous, but we can thank D. D is one of our raiders. Yes, so we can thank D. All right. So today the news is what? Sad, happy, absurd, ridiculous.
Well, we have to start off talking about a lot of stuff that's happening in Iran, and a lot of that stuff can be sad. And then we have a lot of really interesting stuff, like interesting population projections in terms of Christianity in the U.S., and a lot of absurd things as well happening in the Middle East that I think would be fun and important to cover. Anything? Yeah, I think those are the main things, and some good news as well.
Right. People are saying, love you, Susanna. Thank you, Susie. Thanks, Susie. Oh, thank you, guys. Oh, by the way, guys, in the live chat, when you guys say hi and stuff, say where you are saying hi from. Oh, here's another one. Thank you.
Only Susie. If it's safe for you.
Yeah, like say like hi from Philippines, hi from US, hi from UK, hi from Iran, hi from Pakistan, Egypt, Indonesia. Yeah. Oh, look at this. Great to see Mr. Armin, Navabi, and Susanna. Oh, thank you, guys. Thank you. All right. Okay, let's go. Oh, we have Silva in the live chat celebrating his 11-month membership, saying, happy for the wonderful journey. Thanks, CEO Susie. Oh, that's so sweet. All right. Oh, look at this. Hello from Texas. Hello from, what is this? Madeira? Wow. Hello from Manchester. Hi from my armchair. Okay, cool. From USA, from France, from India. Okay, I'm going to keep highlighting some of these comments as Susanna goes over the first news. Can we clap for the first news?
Let's clap for the people who are resisting, although there is a lot of this that is sad.
Okay. First news,
uprising in Iran, at least 83 killed and over 1,200 arrested. Since the death of 22-year-old Iranian woman Mahsa Amini at the hands of the morality police on September 16th, widespread protests have continued throughout Iran despite internet shutdown. Tehran legislator Mahmoud Nabavian called the demonstrations riots and stated that the women that take off the mandatory headscarves as an act of civil disobedience are out to prostitute themselves. As of September 29th, according to the Iran Human Rights Non-Governmental Organization, or NGO, 83 deaths have been confirmed throughout 16 provinces. More than 1,000 protesters have been arrested, and many have been subjected to torture and forced confessions on state-affiliated Telegram channels. 20-year-old Hadis Najafi was shot in the abdomen, neck, heart, and hand by the security forces on September 21st. Najafi died 4 days later. On the same day, 16-year-old Mehdi Mousavi died in the street after being shot 5 times and beaten with batons. His family said they were warned to stay quiet or else other family members might quote-unquote disappear. Many journalists were also arrested, including Alahe Mohammadi, who reported on the funeral of Mahsa Amini. The protests have turned decidedly anti-regime as women continue to burn hijabs and publicly cut their hair. Slogans such as "Death to the Dictator" and "Death to Khamenei" are shouted in the streets and from windows and rooftops. Iran Foreign Minister Amir Hussein Abdullahian said in an interview with New York City's Morning Edition, quote, "There is not a big deal going on in Iran. There is no regime change in Iran." He claims that outside elements have encouraged people to turn violent through satellite channels and websites. So, one thing I wanted to just say right off the bat is that the number of 83 killed and over 1,200 arrested was of September 29th. And that was only who could be confirmed based on the work of the Iran Human Rights NGO and them looking at death certificates and stuff. And that even that work is extremely constricted because of the internet shutdowns. And so even at that point, it was likely that the death count is much, much larger. The largest number that I have seen coming from state-affiliated media was that 35 people have died. But this NGO is quantifying a lot more. And then one thing that really needs to be highlighted was, so that was on the 29th, okay, that we had that number. On the 30th of September, state security forces committed a massacre against people in Baluchistan, which wasn't even calculated as part of this number of 83 people killed. And we can get into what happened in Baluchistan, but one number I saw was that there were as many as 56 killed in a single day and 270 injured. And by now, probably a lot more have died from their injuries. And it's absolutely horrific what happened. So there was a city, I'm not sure how to pronounce it. Is it Zahedan?
Yes, Zahedan.
Yeah, Zahedan in the Baluchistan province of Iran. And there, not only were there protests kind of alongside the general protests that have been happening since the death of Mahsa Amini, and she was killed for improper hijab by the morality police. But in that province or in that city, there has been outrage because a police commander of the city, RAPE'd, I'm not using the R word because of YouTube, a police commander R-worded a 14 or 15-year-old Baluch girl. And there has been outrage in the city because of that. And so what happened was, after Friday prayers happened in this city, a lot of people went to the police station or numerous police stations to protest. And at that point, there are reports that the police opened fire, live ammunition on the people outside, on the citizens from inside the police station. And they think that this was a coordinated attack because, based on reports that I read, they said this must be planned in advance, because within 10 minutes, a helicopter was there and they were shooting at us from a helicopter. Which is just like, I don't even have words for the level of like barbarity entailed in that. Just like shooting at citizens from a helicopter from the sky. It's horrific. So yeah, just a full-blown massacre in Baluchistan on Friday that isn't really getting a lot of coverage because of everything that's going on, or the combination of things. And so yes, this death count just got exponentially higher.
Yeah, I'm surprised this is not getting more coverage. In Iran, we had like a Syria, what happened in Libya that made the West and all the countries come down on Libya. Like, we have a moment where they're shooting people from the sky from a helicopter, right? This is usually the time where things escalate to another level. It also shows that these like places where it's more poor in Iran doesn't get as much reaction as things that happens in, I don't know, Tehran or something. Like, because there's a lot of people dead. There's a lot of people dead being shot from up in the sky. Like, this usually, if this was like a different place in Iran, it probably would have gotten a much bigger reaction, which is sad that it's not right now. It's also because the videos from it is just so gruesome. Like, even the places that are covering it, they're not showing the videos, right? Like, they keep telling you like, oh yeah, we can't show you any of this. So
I saw footage of just Zahedan afterwards, and it looks like Syria. It looks like they turned the city into Syria. It's horrific. Just shells of cars and buildings. Like, it's crazy. Secular Proton is saying, WTF, I haven't heard of it yet. And I've been constantly monitoring Iran news still.
Yeah. This is so interesting. Like, if it's also shows like a little bit how foreigners might be more motivated with the, I don't know, things that interest them rather than things that are costly to human lives.
Quantifiably worse, yeah.
I don't know. I just like, I don't know. I don't know how to describe this. I think like a lot of our audience and our people are also like looking for an anti-Islam angle to this. But so if like a woman is, again, Mahsa Amini's death is a tragedy, and I'm glad that all the protests is happening to it, right? But if it was 150 men being shot down from the sky for something that was a protest that was about the economy, for example, it wouldn't have gotten the same attention, even though it was more people dying, right? I'm just like, yeah. I mean, I don't want to complain about things because it's just how it is, and there's nothing to do about it. I'm just observing it. But anyways, things are escalating in Iran. This was supposed to be the time where the protests in Iran have been died out. This was supposed to be that moment, okay? Because they were like bringing back the internet, and then they shut down the internet again because the government itself was like, okay, everybody go home now. Nothing to see here. We're all over. The protest is over, and now they're escalating. So this is kind of worrisome. And also, by the way, in the past couple of years, I am constantly in rooms, like audio rooms, Clubhouse, and social media of Iranians. But guess which kind of Iranians? Okay, I'm not listening to anti-regime Iranians, right? I am constantly listening to what pro-regime Iranians are saying right now. Okay, and I cannot tell you how divided they are. I've never seen them so divided. They are fighting. They are at each other's neck over this, right? And this is what you want to see, right? Their values are clashing right now with each other, right? So it's one thing. Whenever protests like this happen in Iran, you have anti-regime people in their own rooms and in their own social media groups and stuff, like versus the enemy, which is the other side, which is the pro-regime people. And they're constantly throwing things at each other from across, and they don't get along, right? But now in the clubs and the rooms and the groups and the communities where the pro-regime are, when you go in there, it's civil war, right? Civil war. Like, it's unbelievable. I've never seen them so divided on this topic, right? And there are so many things about these current protests in Iran that are unprecedented. But this is the most key part, right? A lot of lines have been crossed, right? Especially the international attention line, okay? And the number of Iranians outside of Iran that are protesting, and the kinds of people that are coming out in the streets and protesting in Iran itself, okay? These are all red lines that have been crossed, but I think this is the most important red line that has been crossed. The red line that pro-Iranian regimes are now anti-other pro-Iranian regime people on where they stand on this issue, right? And because, the only way for you to have any chance, I tell you, okay, to bring down this regime is to create that division between them, okay? Because the people, even if they're the majority, they have no power, okay? They have no gun power, right? Their only way for this regime to come down is by force, okay? And by force means somebody needs to be armed, right? And the armed group could be three options. It's either a foreign force like the US or something, which that ain't gonna happen, right? Or it's somehow the people get their hands on guns, okay? That is more likely, but still unlikely. It's hard to do that, right? I mean, keep and hold on to it, right? The third option is the people that already have the guns to turn it on each other eventually at some point instead of at the people. Okay, that is what you want. That is the outcome that you want, and you will do that by making them feel like crap about themselves and where they stand over this issue. And we are seeing this
should.
happen. Well, yeah, but we didn't see this before. We're now seeing guilt, shame, skepticism over people coming and asking for forgiveness, people signaling, people high up there signaling that maybe they're standing with the people. Even in this article, I don't know how the article that you guys wrote on the Atheist Republic website, I don't know you don't understand the significance of this one clip, because there's many clips, and this one clip is also very significant. I don't know if this explains it well, so let's read it. Ashtari, Iran's chief of police, in an effort to boost security forces, sagging. Oh yeah, there you go, sagging morale. Okay, this is why this clip is very important, because we were watching this officer, this chief police officer, telling the people that they are on the right side. Okay, this leak is very important. Why would the chief police tell his officers, tells our fellow police officers, that don't worry, they're standing on the right side? Why would, Susan, you tell me, why would he be telling them that?
Because he knows which way the tides are turning and who he will be answerable to soon enough.
No. Think about it. These are he's surrounded by police officers, and he's telling them, don't worry, you're doing the right thing. The only reason why he might be doing that is because he's hearing that.
I didn't understand. Yeah.
This video shows that there are many officers that are questioning whether they're doing the right thing. He specifically let me play the audio. Okay, so actually, sagging morale told them, here's the translation. Okay, stand strong, don't doubt the path, because they want to strike down the very state and say the path you've taken since the revolution was wrong. Okay, let me actually listen to the Persian version of this. Wait, there's no audio here. Why does this not have audio? Maybe we watch it on Twitter. Maybe we'll have audio. I don't have audio
either.
Maybe because this is unmute site. That's why. There you go. He says, stand strong. Don't doubt your position even a little bit.
Oh my God.
He says, don't doubt your position even a little bit. There is doubt within the pro-regime people, okay? There's no reason. You don't need this pep talk if there's something not happening, okay? Yeah. Not even... Like the path that we're going right now today, like he's telling them the fact that you're attacking the protesters, like because they're feeling guilty, they're thinking like we're doing something wrong. They saw Mahsa Amini die, and they're looking at people and they're listening to their complaints. Some of them are thinking like these are legit complaints, and some of them are. No. I'm serious. The police and the armed forces, some of them are like, you know what? The chants make sense.
They have a point.
They have a point. And also because now the economy is making their life, like it's getting to them as well, right? Right. Mm-hmm. So like their lives are miserable as well. So this is like, he's saying the path that you're taking is the same path that the martyrs took, right? So he's like, your path is the path of the martyrs. You're like, don't you feel like icky right now, but you know the martyrs that we all love, that you guys celebrate.
Which martyrs? The Iran-Iraq War martyrs?
Well, I mean, when they say martyrs, they're like all like the Iran-Iraq all the way to Imam Hussein, like martyrs, okay. Islamic martyrs. Okay, Shia martyrs. Okay, right. So. Like what Qasem Soleimani, what Haj Qasem, this is the path that Qasem Soleimani was on. You are on that path. The reason why he has to tell them that is because they're like, they're questioning again. Like, this is what Qasem Soleimani did as well, because they love Qasem Soleimani. So like, yo, you guys, you're doing the same thing. You're doing the same thing. So this is why he's saying these people, they want to take down the regime. So he's like reminding them, like, this is very subtle. Okay, I'm glad I played this. Okay, because you hear They want to take out the regime. Why is he telling them that? Because they're hearing chants that make sense to them, but they're still pro-regime. So he's reminding them, it's not just about those chants, okay? It's not about like justice or stuff like that. They want to take the regime that you love, they want to take it down. They're coming for like all that you love, okay? That's why when you're hitting them on the head with your batons or whatever, or when you're shooting at them, when that makes you feel guilty because these are like, it looks like your own sister or your own brother that you're hitting in the street and they look innocent, to not feel guilty, remember that these people want to take down the regime. That's what you have to remember to make yourself motivated to attack the people. That's what he's saying, basically. So yeah, this is the translation of what he's saying, like both in English, but also like interpretation. Like they want to take away our martyrs.
What?
Yeah, he said like basically when he says they want to take away our martyrs, it means what our martyrs fought for. Like that's what it means, the values,
okay.
right?
Like what does that even mean?
He says they want to take away the path of the revolution, right? So the Islamic revolution, the path that it has come so far, they want to ruin that. So he's reminding them, why are they fighting the people? Like the path that is filled with light, a beautiful path that we have taken. They want to destroy that. I have worn this what is it called? Uniform to protect this path.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
That's actually a very
telling
important choice of words. You wear the uniform to protect the status of the revolution, not the people, not the citizenry whose taxes go into paying for your freaking salary. Okay.
Somebody say, she was like, Gita vibes. Yes, this is the Gita vibes. Yes, fight. You're supposed to fight. Follow the Dharma. Follow the Islamic Dharma. Follow your role. Exactly. That is giving me, you're right. That is giving me Gita vibes. It's not just Islam, but yeah.
Yeah. Charles is saying the police are like, are we the baddies?
Yes, you're right. Perfect. Oh my God, I should have had the meme ready. Oh God.
We need to have this meme ready at all times. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I think this is really important to talk about because, I mean, maybe we should have a different news segment dedicated to this next week, but I've been sharing with Armin a lot. Yes, are we the baddies? Someone needs to Photoshop the special forces uniform onto this.
No, the Iranian people should put this on a sign and just hold it on the streets. I mean, they don't speak English, but yeah.
So what was I going to say? Oh yeah, but this is a very important discussion because there has been legitimate fear of mutiny within the ranks, and yes. I think we should have a segment where we dive deeper into that in more detail. And also the completely unprecedented news of seminarians, Hausa students coming forward and declaring Khamenei an illegitimate mujtahid. Which
you said that to me.
Where
is it?
Crazy. Absolutely crazy. But I mean, like, I don't know if, I feel like that kind of deserves its own segment. What do you think?
Yeah, here.
This blew my mind. Can you give us a quick summary?
I will just give you the translation of the title. Okay, this is by Iran Wire, which is a legitimate news source, right? So it says
Iran Wire.
جمعی از طلاب و مدرسین حوزه خامنه‌ای از ولایت منعزل است. I think it means like he has. Is that how you say it? It means like he doesn't have the legitimacy to be the supreme leader. So a lot of mullahs from Qom, which is the city that is kind of like Iran's Vatican. Okay, so Qom is like Iran's Vatican. It's where Tehran is the capital. Qom is like Iran's Vatican. It's like the religious authority where all the mullahs go teach and learn, and they get their designations and licenses to be mullahs. Okay, it's a mullah making factory. The Qom city is a mullah making factory. Okay, that's where you go to become a mullah in Iran, and that's where like the religious rulings and everyone comes out. Right. So a lot of mullahs in Qom are now openly saying that Khamenei is not fit to be supreme leader. This is unprecedented, and they're getting no reaction. Okay. Also, a lot of times, a lot of protests are not being like are not being met with like you can see people saying death to Khamenei in front of police officers, and they're not doing anything. They're back.
Oh my God.
There are examples of them attacking, but there are examples of there's so many videos coming out that they're backing down and they're not attacking. So there's a mixed thing. But the fact that there are some areas where they're not attacking seems to be there's some disagreement. Okay, some places where they're like really attacking and some places they're not attacking at all. It seems like whoever is the commander of there is like following the orders, and the commander of that section is not following the orders. There seems to be like a major division. Okay. Also, most importantly, what do you think I'm going to say? The most importantly, Khamenei has not been seen
anything
or heard of for more than 2 weeks. Okay? Historically, when a protest like this happen, much smaller protests like this that have happened, Khamenei comes and speaks out, okay, between an average of 2 or 3 days, between 2 or 3 days after the protest. He comes out and he analyzes this and he condemns it, and he calls them a whole bunch of Zionists and Western imperialists or some MEK members or some secessionist or something like that, right? So it's like seditionist, something, or like influenced by like, I don't know, evil powers around the world. These are not our people. These are just a fringe group. He comes and makes an announcements like that, and he just tries to reassure his followers that why they have the moral high ground, right? So he says something like that, right, to boost them. This is the first time that these protests are. We have never seen anything like this before in Iran. Okay, first time in the history of Iran since the 1979 revolution, right? So if all of those other protests justify him coming out and saying something, this would have been it, right? And he is nowhere. I don't know why. Okay, I don't know. A lot of people are saying he's dead. I don't know if
people think he's already dead.
Yes. So I don't know if he's dead, but he's acting like he's dead. But he's, dude, like if he's dead, first of all,
missing in action. We have an Ayatollah missing in action.
Yes, Ayatollah, the main Ayatollah missing in action. So this, first of all, if he's not dead, wow, and if he's dead, wow, okay? Because if he's not dead, how come a man who's not dead who always comes and takes a strong stance against protests like this? That would be more questions. Like, we're like, okay, why is he afraid of? What is it so different about these protests that he's not coming out and saying something, right? One, okay? And if he's dead, holy crap. If he's dead, eventually the announcements of his death will eventually come out, right? And this is the worst time for him to die. Right? Like for the regime at the peak, like at the same time that Mahsa Amini died and like ignited the greatest protests that we have seen in Iran for a while, right? If he dies in the middle of all this, it's like the people are already in the street, because we kind of knew that when Khamenei dies, that would ignite protests and division everywhere. But we've already
stressed out about it. Like, I'm stressed out about like the blood that will run in the streets.
Yeah. Okay. Well, yeah. But we'll get there. Okay. Well, maybe next week we'll talk about that, right? But we were hoping that the regime could fall when Khamenei dies, because that would create a lot of division between the hardliners, right? Mm-hmm. But even without that announcement, we're seeing a lot of division right now. So this would be adding on top of each other at the worst moment for the regime. Like, it seems like the gods that don't exist have come together to make it the perfect storm for the regime. Protests and Khamenei's absence, okay? And also, what analysts are saying is that if these protests don't topple the regime, the next few ones will. Like, it has shaken the system to such a degree that it's basically a house of cards right now, right? So, and everybody is seeing how fragile the whole thing is. right? So it's kind of like it's a major push to throw it off the cliff, and if it doesn't work, people kind of know like they just need to go for a couple more, and it will just fall down, unless something major happens. Like unless, like for example, the IRGC or the Atesh comes in and declares, I don't know, martial law or something. You know what I mean? We don't know, right? But we also, here's another important point. We also assumed that the regime has so much more to come down on people, okay? So we thought that every time the protests happen, eventually the regime will come and will attack the people until everybody goes home, right? And the way they did it, they're like, oh, we're just using like 5% or 10% of our like this is not my final form. Basically, the regime was always saying like, you know how we like sent you home and we came and attacked you and killed you? That was just like 5% of what we could have done, right? I mean, we have defeated ISIS in so many places, and we have like so many like, look, we're selling drones to Russia. Like this is nothing. We can do so much more. We could do genocide if we wanted to, right? But we're just going easy on you, right? And that's what a lot of people assumed, right? People are like, okay, like if the protest ever goes to the next level, they could like crush us. But now what they're observing is that they're bringing children. They're bringing children to. Let me actually show you. Actually, I have the picture.
Yeah, no, and this has been fact checked as legitimate.
Yeah,
they're legit. I couldn't bringing kids, putting them in a few like helmets with shields, giving them billy clubs, and sending them out onto the streets to be Basiji patrol.
Look at this. They're using these kids to attack the people. Look at these babies. Like, they must be desperate. They must be running out of manpower. What the hell is this?
It's actually so sad.
These are the forces that are now attacking the people. Okay? So when people see this, plus their attempt to bring, like, Lebanese and Iraqis to attack the people, like, wait a minute, we thought you have a lot more resources. The fact that this is what you're bringing to the streets makes us think, like, maybe like you don't have much more left. Like if this is the most you can do, if we push a little bit more, then you're gonna run out of. Especially because they're tired. Like they seem like the pro-regime forces. They seem to be demotivated and also tired. The people are frustrating them. Like they keep going one place and then all of a sudden another place people are protesting and they don't have enough to. It's just like it's bad. It looks bad, right? So, and people are noticing the weakness, and when people can smell your weakness, then they're going to go for your neck.
True. Yeah. Go for the jugular. Oh my gosh. Yeah. One thing that I think is also really important to talk about, I in the show notes for this segment, I put a bunch of stuff that we can show. So yesterday there was a global rally in support of the protests in Iran. So there were rallies in over 150 cities across the world. I went to one yesterday. It was awesome. So thank you to everyone who attended. I think it's so important to show our support. And this global rally is truly historic. Like, we have never seen the Iranian diaspora and people who ally and support them show up and show out in the way we have yesterday. Like, thousands of people in London, thousands of people across Europe. There were, reportedly, like 10,000 people in Los Angeles. There were between 50 to 60,000 people that marched in Toronto.
Susanna at the protest. Yeah, go ahead.
Armin pulled up the photo of me at the protest yesterday. Yeah, it was awesome. I was standing on this lamppost, and then someone gave me this flag, and I literally, people afterwards were like, "How did you like hang on that pole and wave that flag for 2 hours straight?" And I'm like, "I was doing that for 2 hours." Yeah, so I was chilling. In this, I was hanging on to this flagpole, waving that flag high for 2 hours yesterday, despite the fact that my endometriosis was kicking my ass. which shows my determination. I was not going to miss this, okay? No matter how much pain I was in, I was hanging on to that pole and waving that flag high, okay?
So this is, for people who don't know, this is Iran's flag before the Islamic Revolution. So
Yeah.
that's what the people, it's the main flag people hold, anti-regime people hold when they want to support Iran.
Especially this is the one that people use if they're more of a secular Republican, versus the monarchists use one that has the same lion in the middle, except there's a gold wreath around the bottom and the crown on top. So that's usually like the hardcore monarchist flag. This is more.
Oh, this one doesn't have a crown? Oh yeah, you're right.
There's no gold wreath, there's no crown. So this is like a Republican flag, not a monarchist flag, which is why I was like, okay, holding that. But Charles is saying, Susanna, were you pole dancing for hours in support of Iran? That's one way to put it. But Armin, can you go to the stuff I wanted to show for this segment in the show notes, please?
Yes. So there's a lot. I'm gonna have. So I didn't click on all of them.
Saying, I was very confused about the flag. I didn't know why people were using different Iranian flags. Yeah, so a lot of people refuse to use the current country's flag. Oh yeah, so don't share audio for this one because there's music.
Okay, there we go.
And so they prefer to use the pre-Islamic Revolution flag. So I wanted to show this because in terms of these global protests, we need to really give a lot of thanks and praise and recognition to Hamed Ismailian. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. And this is him as he looks upon a crowd of like 50,000 people marching in Toronto. Like, look at this for Iran. And I have so much respect for him because if you don't know, he is one of the surviving family members of the PS752 tragedy, which is when after the assassination of Qasem Soleimani, the Iranian forces struck down a civilian airplane and killed like close to 200 people that were just innocent civilians traveling between Iran and Ukraine. And this man lost his wife, Parisa, and his 10-year-old daughter, Rira. And I think about him a lot. And I think about how this man shouldn't be an activist, actually. You know, Armin, like, we are two people, like, we chose to do this, right? But he had his wife and his daughter taken from him in this horrible tragedy. And everything he's done every second for the past 2 years has been put towards getting justice for the people whose family members were killed by the regime. This plane that was shot down for no reason. Some people actually think it was on purpose. And I don't know. I think he's an incredible person. I mean, he still wears his wedding ring after all the, you know, after like 2 years now. And there's nothing I want more in this world than a partner and a little girl to call my own. And to think of something like that happening to me, having my world taken from me like that, I don't know how I would make it through that hell. And I don't know how I would continue to do anything, let alone become the spokesperson for these families that are trying to piece their lives back together. And, you know, he is such an incredible person. People call him sometimes, they call him the father of Iran. They say they should change Father's Day to be Hamed's birthday. They call him Kaveh the justice seeker. And I saw this incredible photo of him marching down the street with a bullhorn strapped to his chest, and he's carrying a sign on his shoulder. But people photoshopped it to be him walking down the street yelling into this bullhorn instead it's the country of Iran on his shoulder. Because he doesn't just fight for his daughter and his wife that were taken from him. He organized this global historic protest. And look at him as he sees 50,000 people come and show their support. I don't know. I think about him a lot.
Let me actually show you something about him. Oh, by the way, they call him the father of a nation because he lost his daughter, so he's not a father anymore. So they want him to still be a father. They say like, you're all our fathers now, right? But so here's a picture of him actually with his daughter. I don't know if you see it. It's a little bit small, right? Because there was this song. This man wrote a song. There was on Twitter, there was a call out for people to send out their tweets for why they're protesting, right? And people were like, for this, for that. So there was a lot of tweets. And this man, right, Shervin, who is now in jail. This boy is now in jail for this song. So he took all of the tweets of people who were saying, like, a lot of tweets of different people who said, I'm protesting for this, for this, right? And he made a song called Baraye, which means for, right? And this song has now become this revolution's theme song. Everybody, everywhere in the protests is playing this. It's such a beautiful song. I wish you guys could understand what he's saying, right? But he keeps on reading the tweets, but changing it a little bit to fit with the song. I don't know. So this is... So you can see he keeps reading for, and then he says for what, right? And then he gets to this...
it's muted for us. We can't hear it.
Oh, let me play this. 1 second. Let me... So, for example, this tweet, it says for the illegal dogs who get killed all the time because in Iran, dogs are illegal. To have dogs, it says having dogs is anti-Islamic, right? So the regime kills them, right? The regime takes dogs and they massacre them, right? Hold on, let me change the... yeah. But so this tweet is saying for all the innocent so-called illegal dogs, right? So this song is saying for all the endless cries, tears that we have. But this is the one that I wanted to show you. So this tweet was by him, right? By Hamid himself, the man that Susanna was just talking about. So he tweeted for the desire, for the sadness, for the aching heart of wanting to see this moment again, right? And it's a picture of him reading the newspaper next to his daughter. And this is the girl, the daughter who was on that plane, who the Islamic regime shot down with 2 missiles. So that was his tweet. So he's protesting because he aches just to have this moment seen once again. Anyways, but guys, and let me know if you guys want me to go through, do a stream or something and go through the song line by line with you, because the tweets here that he highlights is so beautiful. And when I was listening to this, I thought like he must be in the US or like Canada or Europe somewhere. I didn't know he was making the song from Iran. And they arrested him. Like, I don't understand who could come and arrest us, but he didn't do anything. He just made a song of people's...
His crime is that his song got 40 million views in 48 hours.
Yeah, that was his crime. He's arrested. He's in jail right now because his song was popular among the protesters. Anyways, yeah. Oh, this tweet is so beautiful. The tweet, oh my, every tweet is beautiful. But look at this one. So this tweet is saying, so they're all protesting for something. He's saying for the day that we could put our real pictures on our profile pictures. With smiles, like smiling pictures on our profile pictures, right? Because the reason why she can't put any pictures on her profile is because she don't want to give away her identity, right? So one day they're all free to say whatever they want, and they could come online and with their real identities. So the song says for pictures of smiling faces, but the tweet says for the day that I could put a real picture of myself on my profile picture smiling. God, these tweets are amazing, and this song is amazing. I wish. Let me know, guys, if you want me to go over it, like maybe somewhere on line by line. Yeah.
Babak did a translation of it into English and German, so you could use that as a reference.
I know, but it's not just translation; it's the explanation. I need to put it in context. I need to tell you the backstory of each tweet. Yeah. I know, guys. I know the lyrics are available, but I just want to like go and discuss each one of them, like give some context, talk about the history of it. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if you guys, there's under the video itself. If you go look for it, there's translations there as well, right? So usually in the comments somebody will come. Yeah, there you go. The first comment is the translation. I disagree with some of these, but yeah. Okay. Did you want to show something else?
Yeah, I thought I have a couple of other things.
Oh, some people say they want to listen to it in the live chat. I will put the link to it for you in the live chat if anybody wants to go listen to it. Yeah. I can't believe they arrested him. Like the people that like issued his arrest and the people that went and arrested him, they like do they have hearts of stone? Like how could such people exist? Like, I don't understand. This is like unbelievable. These are people that are talking about their hopes and their dreams, and he took them all together and turned it into a beautiful song. And somebody somewhere thought that this is arrest worthy. Somebody somewhere thought that this is arrest worthy. How could such a people? I don't understand. I'm beyond words. Anyways, I'll go to the next thing that you wanted to highlight. Sorry.
Yeah, so I thought this was important to share. So this is just a small snapshot of people who have been killed while protesting for Massa so far. Just some of the names and ages and photos that we know, some of them that we're aware of. And what's so heartbreaking is like so many of them are underage. There are so many kids that are just like 14 to 17 years old that have been killed. And I think I've actually been reading some analysis on this. And there are analysts who think that the reason why this generation is like, we are not to be effed with is essentially because they were born after kind of the collective trauma of the revolution. So the people who experienced the revolution and then the 1980s that came after it and the Iran-Iraq war and the pain and suffering and turmoil that came with it, basically were like, we experienced firsthand what that means. And although what we're dealing with is awful, like we can't go through that again, essentially. But analysts are saying like this generation never had to experience any of that. So they are willing to put themselves through it, essentially. What do you think of that?
Yeah. Like what I heard is that this new generation has nothing to look forward to. Like, and they have the ideology that the regime tried so hard to build. The state media literally said that they consider nothing holy, and they were saying it as if it was a negative thing, right? And I was like, damn, yeah, right, right. Like they have no they muqaddasat, that's what they say. Like they don't consider any. Oh, that's actually a better translation. It seems like this generation doesn't consider anything sacred, and they were saying that, complaining about them, right? And I was like, that was the best compliment that you could have made for me. That was the best compliment you could. Like, there's nothing sacred for them. Like, because it means like we try so hard to have Islamic revolutionary ideals demonstrated to them, for them to accept as something sacred, something holy, something that you don't attack, something that you value, something that you protect. And they're acting so desperate. Like, what's wrong? How did we lose this generation, right? And they themselves, again, they say it's because of social media. Like, we're trying to get them through our school and our mosques and our TV, but they're on their phone most of the time, and it's hard to compete with that. That's what they're saying. And I'm like, yeah, again, they're right. They have, through social media, they have seen the possibilities. They have seen what freedom looks like. They have seen what better lifestyles, what's more stable lifestyles, more safer, more, secure, more loving, without having somebody looking over your shoulder, having somebody telling you what to do, what's Islamic, what's not Islamic, how to live your life, constantly controlling you, monitoring. You have seen those, and it doesn't matter how much programming you try to do, they have seen the alternative, and there's no going back, and there's no way to go back. When they see what's possible, you can't make them unsee that. You have more things that you want me to show here?
Yeah, I think you can skip the third one. Go to the fourth one, please.
The tweet, this one?
Yeah, so this is something also important to highlight. So this is a clip that went viral. And this is a girl who is cutting off her hair on top of her brother's grave. I think in the caption it says how old he was, but he was quite a young man. And I don't know, I think it's important to see these things.
So I for people who don't know why all these women are cutting their hair in a traditional pre-Islamic, and even after, like, traditional Iranian, like not Islamic but Iranian culture, cutting your hair is a sign of sugwari. How do I translate that?
Grief.
Grief. Yes, women show their grief by cutting their hair. And one reason why that was a traditional sign of grief is because they were going to battle, because they were ready to stop doing womanly things and go to this. It's a sign of, I'm ready to go to war to get revenge for my man or being killed, right? So they would stop doing womanly things, and they would cut their hair, and they go to war. So it's not just grief, it's also preparing for the next phase of what they're about to do, right? So this is like in Iranian folklore or like traditional myth and stuff. It has a specific name as well when you cut your hair. It's very interesting because it's very un-Islamic as well. Like, this is not Islamic standards. This is very Iranian standards, right? I mean, you don't even show your hair, let alone cut your hair. This is like, but you have another picture of somebody that looks really much like she's ready to go to war. Do you want me to show it?
Yeah, and a lot of people have taken it also to be like, in terms of the compulsory hijab. It's like, if you are going to kill me for the sake of showing my hair, like, I will cut off my hair. I will make myself bald. Like, if you would rather kill me for its visibility. You know what I mean?
Oh, it's interesting. People in the live chat are saying in Hinduism they have that too. I didn't know that. People are saying in Hinduism, in India, men shave their head when family member dies. Mostly North India. Hindu women shave their head fully when someone dies. Wow, I didn't know that. This is not just Iranian culture. Interesting. Okay, but look at this. Look at this.
People have been cutting their hair in solidarity with Masa, like, all around the world.
Yes. Look at this. Look at the look in her eyes.
Yeah, her mother was killed for protesting.
God. This is...
Her mom was killed for fighting for her.
The commentary on this by a lot of people are saying, like, this is what the Iranian regime is answerable to. And they're saying a lot of people are interpreting a look like this as like, this is the look that the regime needs to be afraid of. These are the faces of people who are not going to take it anymore. Look at, she looks like she's ready for battle. No. Yeah, exactly. Darko is saying it's a look of determination. It's a look like, I have nothing else to lose. You have taken the dearest thing away from me. So what else can you take away from me? It's also a look that says, I'm coming for you, honestly. Like, if I...
Yeah.
Like these... Yeah.
She looks like Joan of Arc.
Yeah. All right. Is there anything else you want me to show? Oh, there's this.
I don't know, is there?
Yeah, there's this.
Oh, yeah. So the murder of the protester Atheist Republic is really important because she went viral for this video of her without hijab tying her hair back behind her head in a bun, you know, like this declaration of fierceness of getting ready for war before walking into this protest. And she died because she was shot 6 times in the face.
Yeah. Okay. What do you think is going to happen?
I don't know, but I know that there's going to be a lot more loss.
Yeah.
A lot more tears from people that deserve so much better.
Okay, Adam is asking, is this struggle going to intensify or will it be squashed? All right, so Adam, that's the question everybody's asking. Everybody's asking that. And nobody really has an answer. The thing that it seems like even if it dies down, a new normal has been set for people and their demand for change. Every time a protest, so every protest that has died down, the next protest that comes after in Iran has had 2 features. One, it has crossed more red lines than was never imagined even in the protest before it. 2, it happened with a shorter distance than the protest before it, right? And it just seemed like every protest is an escalation compared to the one that happened before. And if this trend continues, even if these protests die down, the next protest and the one after it is going to be, one of these protests eventually is going to be a tipping point. The way a lot of analysts talk about it is that the regime, for the regime to stay in power, they have to win every single one of these battles, right? Every single one of them. But for the people to win and for the regime to fall, the people have to win only one of these battles. And then if Khamenei dies and the regime becomes more divided and more people seem to be joining the people, more pro-regime people seem to be switching sides every time a new protest happens, at some point people will think that we have passed the tipping point. And the regime will be at the verge of collapse. Again, I'm not saying that will happen or not, because I'm not going to act like so many people who know what's going to happen in the future. I'm just telling you what the analysis of so many people are. They might be right, they might be wrong. People are telling you, people are upset about you crying. They want to make you feel better in the live chat.
Thank you. I mean, yeah, I've been crying a lot in the past 2 weeks.
Sorgo is saying too much blood has been spilled for it to be squashed.
I was actually reading a really interesting interview with Nasrin Sotoudeh, who, for those who don't know, she's almost like Iran's Nelson Mandela. She's like a lawyer who's been imprisoned for a really long time simply because she's a lawyer for women who are protest the compulsory hijab. And she was speaking to this reporter basically about how, and the way she put it was so good. She said the hijab taboo has been broken. The taboo has been broken. They cannot put this back in the box. They cannot put this back in the box anymore. Women are just going to go eat in a cafe without hijab, like women in any normal, other country. Women are just walking down the street without hijab now. Like they cannot just go back to normal. They cannot go back to regularly scheduled programming. Things have shifted fundamentally, and they're going to have to adjust accordingly.
But for people who might not know, it's not about the hijab. For the hijab to go, it means the regime is out, it's on life support. This is why so many people don't understand. Why is the regime so adamant to keep the mandatory hijab rules on? It seems like if they just let go of that, a lot of why don't you, for your own survival, just let go of that? But the protests are not about the hijab. A lot of the anti-regime, a lot of the protesters and many of the other activists say that hijab bahunast, asl nizam nishunast, which means that the hijab is an excuse. The foundations of the regime is our target, right? Mm-hmm. And the regime knows. See, this regime has three pillars, right? Anti-US, anti-Israel, hijab. Okay, so and the hijab is the weakest pillar, right? If you take that away from them, the whole thing will crumble down because it's the most visible one, right? People with hijab in Iran is a sign that the regime is in power. It's kind of like the reason why in a battle, the person that is holding the flag for your army, you try to take that down, because if that flag falls, it kind of shows that they're falling, that people, the morale, everything, like they're basically going on retreat. So for you to take out the hijab is the banner of the other side falling. And that would basically means that the regime is weak. The regime is either going to be forced. It's not either. If the regime removes the hijab, it's a sign that the people have won and they have been forced to remove the hijab. That means they're weak. That means that they can't suppress the people. That means they have shown their belly to the enemy. And the enemy, when you have your neck when you have your boot on their neck, and they're like tapping out, if you don't let go, you double down, and that's why you finish the job. That's why the regime is not willing to let go of their job. Also, because their own people will turn on them. See, this is why it's so difficult for them. There's two pro-regime groups, right? Some of them are against them now, but saying that they're telling them, look, guys, these people, we can keep Islam. We don't have to force people Islam, right? We can't force people into heaven. We can't force people into heaven. Let them not wear the hijab. We'll like market the hijab to them or something. We'll teach them why hijab is a good thing. For the sake of the regime standing, remove the hijab. And the other half is saying, what the hell are you talking about? This entire revolution was about Islamic law. Like, what did we give all these martyrs for if it wasn't for this? So that's why they're fighting each other, and they're losing the half that is like, guys, let's make hijab voluntarily. They're losing that slowly. But if they remove the hijab, the other half that is pro-regime, that says that we did the revolution for such ideals, for such standards, they would lose that half. And that's even the more important half. That's the half that is ready to give blood give their lives and their children for this regime. So the regime knows that if it gets rid of the hijab, it would lose the most important half, the half that is willing to sacrifice everything for keeping up the government that is supposed to make the world ready for the coming of Mahdi. And if you use that, you have nobody.
But don't worry, guys. There's nothing Islamic about these protests. There's nothing. It's not against Islam. We should have a whole discussion on that, because I have been losing my mind over the rhetoric about how this does not have to do with Islam. I've been straight up losing my mind. Feminist pages talking about how this has nothing to do with Islam. I'm like, but the state is just created for the guardianship of for the Mahdi to come back. But don't worry, guys, it's not Islamic. Let me paint on my clown makeup.
Okay, to be clear, it has everything to do with Islam, but it's also sometimes, by many people, not anti-Islamic, right?
Yes.
So it has to do with Islam, but the protests, a lot of the protesters, a lot of them are anti-Islamic, very passionately so, okay? But we have Muslims in the protesters as well. We have many, many Muslim protesters as well. But even the Muslim protesters protesting, and they're like, look, I choose Islam for myself. I don't want to force Islam upon our people. That still makes it about Islam. It even makes it about, so you can't act like this has nothing. How could something about hijab not have anything to do with Islam? Right. So you can't generalize the protesters. So for people saying, like, are the protesters anti-Islamic? And some people are like, no, look, we have Muslim protesters. We have many Muslim protesters, right? So no, these people are not anti-Islamic. That's not true. There are many protesters who are anti-Islamic. And if somebody says, like, oh, these are protests against Islam, that's not true, because we do have many Muslim protesters who are Muslims. So it's a mix. It's a mix of anti-Islamic and Muslim protesters, and some people in between.
I just get really charged up about that, because I've seen photos of our members, our Atheist Republic members, bloodied and beaten for these protests. Our community, my community, bruised and battered, saying, I gave blood to fight Islam. I gave blood to fight this religion and what it's done to me and my country and my friends. You know? People that are part of what, like Armin spent more than 10 years building are crystal clear about what they're fighting and why they're fighting and what they're doing it for. So that I have people come and say, oh, no, this isn't Islamic, blah, 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 because, again, they're constantly catering to a Western audience, navel-gazing. It disgusts me. It makes me really angry.
I want to highlight this comment. Sorgu is saying, I guess we should welcome the Muslims as allies for now. Honestly, not just for now. Our problem is not with Muslims. Our problem is with Islam. Okay, so we just disagree with Muslims, right? You could ally with Muslims forever. It's not just for now. Okay, like is the Muslims, okay, who are not forcing Islam on the rest of us. Okay, we have disagreements with them. We don't have issues with them, and we could have those disagreements and we could talk to them about it, right? Even after the revolution, if the regime falls, this is what some anti-Islamic activists don't understand. Okay, in Iran, right? Some of them act like once this regime falls, they're going to wash away Islam from Iran. That's not going to happen. Iran has many Muslims. You have to share this country with them. You have to, if this regime falls, the Iranian Muslims, you have to build a country with them. You have to learn how to tell them why you think their Islam is barbaric and wrong and evil or whatever, while being their friends and neighbors. And they could also tell you why your atheism or your anti-Islam stance is evil or barbaric, while being friends and allies with you. You have to learn that. Okay? So if you ally with Muslims in making this revolution happen, that's not the end of it. Because after that, the building of a country is even harder. Like toppling a regime, as hard as it looks, is less difficult than building a country. And you're not
That's
going to be
the Taliban.
You're not, that's
Too
going to
soon?
be a lot more difficult. Yeah. No, yeah. That's going to be a lot more difficult. And you're not going to be able to do that by alienating 1/3 of the country. You have to welcome them as fellow Iranian citizens. Even I welcome being anti-Islam. Welcome that. Aggressively so. Okay? Don't let that translate into being anti-Muslim. We share the world with Muslims, a lot of them. Okay? We have to work with them. Anyways. Should we go to the next news?
Yes, this next news is in a very different vein. Wait, the last thing I want to say is that people can get involved and support the people of Iran by sharing what's happening on social media. Talk to your friends about it. Talk to your community about it in your local languages. We want this to be expanded to just outside the Persian-speaking community, just outside the English-speaking community, like in your native language. Talk to people about this. Stay up to date on what's happening. Like I said, there was just a massacre of at least 56 people in Baluchistan that people aren't talking about. And also check to see if there are rallies or protests happening in your city where you are. A very easy way is that I usually look for a local Iranian community organization in my city, or maybe sometimes you can even just look in cultural sites, like maybe a restaurant might have posted, hey, we're helping out this protest, blah, blah, blah. And literally just showing up to this protest and just standing there, even if you don't know the chants, even if you don't have a sign, is so encouraging to people. I cannot tell you how much appreciation is shown to me by the community simply because I show up and I show my support for them. It means so much to see non-Iranian people speaking up and just talking about what they're going through. I cannot emphasize enough how important that is. So if you feel powerless, that's something you can do to help.
Perfect recommendation. Thank you, Susie. And Susie, thank you so much for your passion and attention to all of this. I wish more non-Iranians were doing this. The world, I think the world pays a lot of attention to issues, Western issues, like European issues, North American issues. And I feel like they don't return the favor, right?
Mm-hmm.
To the rest of the world. They don't return the favor to India. They don't return the favor to Pakistan. They don't return the favor to Egypt, Indonesia, all of Africa. Iran. So, it's appreciated when something like this happens. So thank you. Oh, Reyes just became a member. Thank you, Reyes.
Oh, thank you for becoming a member. Welcome to Satan's minions.
Ryan Shit. Sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. Okay. Do you have any recommendations?
Triage is saying some internet running communities I can visit to boost morale. Internet communities? I'm not sure. I mean, I just follow like a ton of people on Instagram. I don't know.
Yeah, you know what? Just look at, here's my recommendation, okay? Go on Twitter and look for Mahsa Amini hashtag. And on the main post, just on the comment of those main posts, just write your support. Right? So that would be the best thing you could do.
Same thing on Instagram too.
Instagram too as well, yeah. Just anywhere where you're seeing popular viral videos or posts regarding the protests in Iran. Those would be.
And say where you're from, because to show that it's all around the world means a lot.
Oh, Baraye is saying here's to those in the West who actually Shiva get. That's good. I like that. That's very, very, very YouTube. Thank you. I appreciate keeping it YouTube friendly. That's very clever. Thank you. All right. Can I clap for the next news?
Yes, you can.
Oh, nice. That's a good change in mood. Next news.
Christians will be by minority in America by 2070, says new study. A recent Pew study shows that Christians are likely to become a religious minority in America. The trend of snowballing religious disaffiliation has been noticed by Pew since the 1990s and is described as, quote, reshaping the U.S. religious landscape. The study, titled Modeling the Future of Religion in America, identified the so-called switching rates of more than 15,000 American adults surveyed starting in 2019. The participants of the study were asked, quote, in what religion, if any, were you raised? And what is your present religion, if any? The resulting differences in the responses was then weighted against another research conducted in 2020. The study simulated 4 scenarios, such as switching, no switching, steady switching, and rising disaffiliation with limits, and rising disaffiliation without limits. And I'll explain what that means in a second. According to Pew, regardless if the switching trend slows down or hastens up, it will be roughly the same. Quote, the projections show Christians of all ages shrinking from 64% to between a little more than half, 54%, and just above 1/3 at 35% of all Americans by 2070. However, the study clarified that the projections are not predictions, and they might also be affected by unknown events such as war, economic depression, climate crisis, changing immigration patterns, or religious innovations. So this is really interesting. I think this would be Trash is saying positive gentrification. If you scroll down, Armin, we embedded a tweet in this article, and if you could please click on that tweet, like looking at these images will help us understand this a lot more. So, if you, in fact, let me blow this up so I can see it better. Okay, so they created 4 different simulations of what could happen, and this is based off of the trends we've been seeing for the past like 20, 30 years. And they're kind of like playing around with how these could happen. So first I want to define what they mean by switching. So they examined, this is the first time Pew Research Center has examined the transmission of a parent's religion to the children. And so they examined what is the mother's religion and then what is the child's religion. And did the child say in their early life that they identify with that religion? And if they did, then they consider that a successful transmission. And the same would apply for a non-religious family. If the parents are non-religious and then the child is non-religious, that would also be a transmission. Okay. But they were specifically looking at the transmission from the mother because they say that apparently mothers are more successful in transmitting their children to religion, transmitting religion to their children, and also because 25% of American children have a single parent, and most of those are single mothers, and so they have to take that into account as well. That itself is like a tragedy. That's horrible, but that's a topic for a different day. So, so they were looking. Okay, first, was the religion successfully transmitted? Okay, so they look at that between the ages of 0 to 15. And then if whatever religious or non-religious identity you have at the age of 15, if that changes after the age of 15, they consider that a switch. So, or a conversion of a sort. And so in the first scenario, they looked at steady switching, which means, okay, I'll just read the caption. Movement into and out of Christianity remains stable based at recently observed trends. So just at the rate that we have seen over the past few decades, let's say it remains exactly the same. What would that look like projected outwards? That is, in each new generation, 31% of Christians become religiously unaffiliated before they turn 30, and 21% of unaffiliated people become Christian. So as you can see, after the age of 15 and before the age of 30 is when most people switch their religious affiliation. And then after the age of 30, it becomes much less likely that you will switch your religion again, around more like 7%, specifically in regards to Christianity, because that's what they were examining and what they had the most data on, right? So as you can see, the current rate is that out of every generation, 31% of Christians will become a religious nun. That's not necessarily an atheist, you know? That could just mean, oh, I have no religion. Oh, I'm kind of spiritual, but I'm not religious. Oh, I'm an atheist. Oh, I'm an agnostic, blah, blah, blah. All of those things are considered none. So it's not necessarily, oh my God, everyone's an atheist now, right? Just to clarify that. So out of every generation, 31% of Christians leave to become religiously unaffiliated. Meanwhile, only 21% of those that are religiously unaffiliated switch into Christianity. So we're winning on that demographic front. So if that was the case, and that trend stayed exactly how it is, what would that look like by 2070? So by 2070, in that scenario, Christians would be down to 46%, and the unaffiliated would be up to 41%. So Armin giving the slow clap in the background. So then in the other scenario, this is where things get like a little confusing because they use like statistical things. So the second scenario is rising disaffiliation with limits. So let's talk about what that means. In each new generation, a growing share of Christians switch out before they turn 30, while a shrinking share of nuns switch in. But the switching rate is capped to prevent the share of Christians who leave the faith from rising above 50%. So this is like a scenario that's not likely to happen in real life because it's like, this is not how real life happens. It's literally, this scenario is literally counterfactual. They just do this for, predictive reasons where they say, okay, in our predictive model that we construct, we're going to let the trends go as we have seen in these predictions. And then once 50% of Christians have left and become unaffiliated is reached, all of a sudden the trend just stops. That's not how things happen in real life, but that's what with limits, what they talk about in the with limits thing in this statistical analysis, that's what that means. So even with the limit, if that was the case, Christians would go from 64% today to 39% by 2070. That's with the limit.
That's interesting.
Now, and then meanwhile, the religiously unaffiliated would go from 30% today to 48% by 2070. Okay.
Wait.
Now, scenario 3, rising disaffiliation. Go ahead.
This is a different trend than other countries. Like, we know, don't get like too excited. This is just United States. Like, we're not seeing such major shifts in other places, though, right?
Yeah. Well, actually, maybe I should get into that in a little while. Basically, the research talked about how this trend is actually more like America is catching up to the rest of Western Europe in terms of their rates of secularization of the population. So
finally,
in many ways, we're actually catching up to other developed countries.
You know who's beating both Europe and United States?
Iran!
Yeah. Like, just major jump, like fall behind, like it was behind, very religious for many years, way behind other countries, and then it just took a giant leap forward, aggressively anti-religious.
Yeah.
But
so scenario 3 is, okay, what would religious disaffiliation look like, but if we did not put a statistical cap on it? Okay. With each new generation, a growing share of Christians switch out before they turn 30, while a shrinking share of nuns switch in. None, no cap is opposed on such switching rates. And so then that would mean that by 2070, religiously unaffiliated would be 52% versus Christians would be 35%. And then scenario 4 is, let's say that literally no one changes their religion after 2020. So no switching. No one changes their religion after 2020. What would that look like in 70 years? Because of like generational effects, right? And that, even so, if that was the case, Christians would still be only 54% by 2070, and atheists would be 34%. So we wouldn't have, not atheists, excuse me, religiously unaffiliated. That's an important distinction. So even if that's the case, there's still going to be a drastic drop.
It would be no switching, but it will still a major change. But but that's not going to happen. That's scenario 4 seems very unrealistic, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Nobody.
So,
if nobody changes their mind, So this very unrealistic scenario 4 is the only scenario where no switching will happen.
Yeah, and again, they just do that kind of thing for the sake of illustration, right?
Right.
Or so there was one thing that I thought was really interesting. So Armin, if you
yet we are moving. People are losing their rights. Like, it's amazing. The trend is people are becoming more liberal and less religious, and yet politics is moving in the direction where abortion is becoming illegal. How does that happen? Tell me, how does that happen? That happens because you morons are not active. Yes, because you idiots are not getting organized. Okay? You're like, I'm not going to be involved. Isn't that the religious? Okay? You're lazy. You just let the religious people do all the organizing and community building. Because apparently community building is only a religious thing to do. Okay? This is what you get. This is what you get. You get your rights taken away when you let religions have a monopoly over community building and fundraising. Anyways.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. So, of course I'm not wrong. So I thought this was really interesting. Out of all the trends, I wasn't able to read the full report today because it's like almost 70 pages long, but I read a lot of it. And I believe they said that it was scenario number 3, which is the most likely. Because in terms of, even if we go with the rates that we see nowadays, scenario 1, let's say the rates we see now remain completely the same. That's actually like not very likely to happen, that the rate is just frozen in time, right? So scenario 3 is potentially the most likely. And again, it should be stressed that this is not a prediction, right? This is a projection. There are other things that can change. And part of the thing that drives these changes is the fact that the Christian population is aging so much, and that each successive generation is less religious. And what's interesting is that they say that the non-religious identity is more quote unquote sticky than the Christian identity. What does that mean? That means that if someone becomes non-religious, they are less likely to go back to switch again. They're less likely to go to a different religion. They're less likely to go back to Christianity, versus the Christians, if someone leaves, it is way less likely that they will go back. So the non-religious identity sticks more than the Christian identity does. And it becomes compounded across generations.
Right. Interesting. So we're saying, glory to the atheist ummah. Also, Ahmad in the live chat has a message for you.
Oh, Ahmad is saying, thanks, Susanna, for your support for Iranians in Vienna yesterday. Great video you recorded with my phone. Oh, hi. I can't believe you're here right now. This is a dude that also climbed the flagpole and was waving the flag with me.
I want to see that video. Do you have a video?
That's funny. He was going hard.
Can we have that video or no?
I don't have any.
Okay, Ahmed send Susanna or Babak the video, please. Thank you. I want to see it.
Wait, Armin, can you go back to that Twitter thing? Because there was another figure I wanted to look at. Oops.
We have to move to the next news, though.
Okay.
Here. What?
Wait, can you scroll down? Was it this one?
Susie literally likes going over numbers and stuff. This one?
Was this what I was?
Such a nerd. You're such a nerd.
Oh yeah, this was it. So this refers to the stickiness. So young Americans are now less likely to become or remain Christian. And if you look at the figure on the top, it says percentage of U.S. adults who are blank, who are raised Christian or not, or raised religiously unaffiliated, who are Christian in their adulthood. And over the past 30 years, the Christians, the U.S. adults who are raised Christian, who remain Christian, goes from 90% to 65% in 30 years. Versus the people who are raised non-religiously, who become Christian in their adulthood, is also declining. It went from, I was raised like non-religiously and now I'm Christian. That was 44% down to 21%.
Oh, okay. So both the conversion, yeah.
And then the reverse is true. And percentage of U.S. adults who were religiously unaffiliated, who were raised religiously unaffiliated, or raised Christian and then became religiously unaffiliated in their adulthood. So the ones who were raised non-religiously are more likely to remain non-religious now. And the ones who are raised Christians are more likely to become non-religious now in their adulthood.
This red line here is social media. Because this is the work of activism, right? Mm-hmm. This is what we're doing right here. Anyways, we should move on.
I have one final point. One thing that's important to highlight, because you talk about this, Armin, all the time, is that we cannot take for granted that this is going to continue. Because trends can be reversed all the time.
Yeah, this is what proves it. Okay? This doesn't happen automatically, okay? So this is not just a trend, okay, that just automatically happens. You have to change people's opinions, okay? Mm-hmm. Some of this, like this is we have no influence over this, right? We have no influence over this. We have influence over this, and that's it. That's our work here.
Yeah. And there's one final quote that I thought this is one final quote. This is really it. That is so important. It said, the four main scenarios, combined with four alternatives outlined in Chapter 2, showed that rates of religious switching in adulthood appeared to have a far greater impact on the overall religious composition of the United States than other factors that can drive affiliation over time, such as fertility rates and intergenerational transmission, i.e., how many parents pass their religion on to their children. So what that means is that the switching of religious affiliation, or deconversion, so to speak, has a much greater impact than basically, can we have enough babies to repopulate the number of people we're losing? That cannot compensate for the amount of people who are leaving religion, because the switching is that strong. Nice. I think that's a super important thing to highlight. So like, this trend is like we can't just put our hands back up and say, okay, we can go home now, right? But this is a very positive sign.
Yeah. Good job, US, finally joining the rest of the civilized world.
Well, hopefully by 2070.
Yeah. Like, it took a while, but you're getting there. It's weird that the most powerful country in the world is so far behind in this. But okay, better late than never, I guess, right? Can we clap for the next news?
Oh, we don't like this, but we can clap.
No, wait, check it. Comment from Troy. Hold on. Hold on. Where is it? Here. Oh, why you got? Okay, this is the important. Okay, whatever. I'm joking, guys. I'm not serious. All right, can we clap or no?
Sure.
Wait, this really? Are you sure this is clappable? Okay, nobody died.
Right? We don't like it, right? But let's.
We don't like it, but we clap. Next news.
Next news. Anti-Hijab Iranian activist sentenced to over 3 years of imprisonment. I'm going to have a hard time with this name. My apologies. Malika Karaguzlu, a 22-year-old Iranian women's rights activist, was handed down a verdict of over 3 years and 8 months by the Islamic Revolutionary Court of Tehran for protesting against the mandatory hijab rules of Iran. Alongside the sentence, Malika has been fined 80 million tomans, which is roughly $250. On July 12th, Malika posted a clip of herself on a social media platform declaring her participation in a nationwide anti-hijab civil disobedience campaign in opposition to the regime's National Day of Hijab and Chastity. She was arrested the following day. On September 19th, her lawyer, Mohammed Ali Kamfurzi, posted on Twitter about her sentence. He also added, "My client has numerous medical records, and although the forensic doctor confirmed that she must be under the supervision of a specialized psychiatrist, that was not taken into account in issuing the verdict." The verdict for Malika comes as Iran encounters widespread protests after the death of a 22-year-old woman, Mahsa Amini, who died in police custody after being arrested for wearing a hijab improperly. These unprecedented protests have thoroughly broken the hijab taboo, causing many within the government to question the viability of continuing to enforce the compulsory hijab law. So, I thought that this was really important to cover because she was given this sentence in the middle of the nationwide protests that have shaken the regime to its core. And so in many ways,
horrible
timing. And I also thought that this was very significantly giving a signal, right? So she was sentenced on September 19th. This is 3 days after the death of Mahsa, when, streets are on fire.
Like you would assume that this is the time that you want to chill a little bit. Like people are in the street extremely angry, and you might want to tone it down. Like maybe take it back, say that I understand these people. I mean, unbelievable. Maybe they're signaling that. What is the purpose of this? They're trying to show the people we're not backing down?
I think so. Yeah. And I think it's also important to consider that this feeds into the wider context of how Mahsa came to be murdered. Because Iran has always had, the Islamic Republic of Iran has always had the compulsory hijab law. But it's recently under Raisi that things have gotten emboldened, become hardline, ultra conservative. And this was signaled specifically, it became much starker in July when they announced that they were going to be promoting hijab through this National Hijab and Chastity Day. And also secret documents were leaked from the government that shows how far they are willing to go in terms of their hijab enforcement. And we covered that on the show a few weeks ago. And the level of authoritarianism that was outlined in this document is insane. like literally starting to revoke people's licenses for stuff they do in their cars that are too anti-regime. Like, there is no distinction between public and private anymore. They're looking for any way that they can to come after you, right? And so, in response to the National Hijab and Chastity Day, Masih Najad and a lot of other major anti-compulsory hijab activists helped organize, basically in response, the No to Hijab Day. And they're like, okay, on this day where you're going to be promoting the fact that you force us to wear this, you're going to be promoting these ideals that enforce modesty culture. Modesty culture is the bedrock of RAPE culture, okay? In response to that, we are going to be doing civil disobedience. We're going to be removing our hijab. And a lot of women posted videos of themselves. Malika was one of the ones who was way more bold in the video that she posted. She showed her full face just walking down the street. A lot of women just shot it from behind. They had masks on, sunglasses, all this stuff. This is a screenshot from Malika's video. You can see that she's just straight up like, no, this is me. I'm against this. She was very bold, and she was arrested immediately afterwards. And so I wanted to cover this because I think it's really important that in the midst of all the turmoil that's going on, that we don't forget about the women that were arrested for doing the civil disobedience. And this could potentially be a very worrying sign about what could happen to the people who are engaging in protests now. If anything, the people who are engaging in protests now could face a lot worse because of how much more bold the form of disobedience is now in comparison to the No to Hijab Day. No to Hijab Day was a freaking cakewalk in comparison to what's happening now. Like, in comparison to now, like, it seems so mild, but even still, like, the No to Hijab Day was incredibly brave. And so I don't want us to forget about, you know, women like this who are going to be facing consequences for these things. All the women we've seen throwing their hijabs off in the street, burning their hijabs off, you know, as they celebrate and dance around in circles with each other, this could be them in a matter of weeks.
Yeah, and they know it, and they still do it. I don't understand this level of bravery. I think it happens when you don't have any other, when you have nothing to look forward to. Where does Susie go? I don't know what to do now. Let me see in the live chat. Yeah, I actually don't know if they can, like, right now there's like thousands of, you know, people without hijab. Like, what are they going to do? They can't arrest. The prisons are already overpopulated, like, by a huge margin. Like, there's no room. Like, are they just going to just pick a few and make an example of them? Because they can't arrest everybody. There's just too many people without hijab right now in Iran. There's just way too many. Remember, Susie, when they were just like, when we were covering news that they were talking about how they could monitor people better for improper hijab, they were going to use face recognition technology, and they're not going to let them on trains or
into
buses,
government buildings. They're not
into
going to
government buildings and banks, or they're going to punish restaurants for letting in women with improper hijab in. That just seemed like they wanted to go that way. They were like, okay, it's getting out of hand. But now look how much, look how big of a dream that, remember I told you that looked like a fantasy? Like, they're not going to be able to do that. I was like, no, you can't do that. It looks impossible to do that right now. And now, that was like, how many weeks ago? That was like 2 weeks ago, I think, or 3 weeks ago. But look how far we are compared to that. Like, sure, try it. like we right now, as we're speaking, there are women walking without their hijab in defiance in the middle of the street in the thousands. How are you going to clean up? Like, we have set a new normal. Like, I can't imagine how they're going to clean up this mess. I mean, what they would describe as a mess. So yeah, I don't know. It just doesn't seem achievable anymore.
Yeah,
I think we've turned every time, like, when in the 80s, it was unimaginable for it being normal for women to wear their hijab showing their hair. right? Like in the 1980s, if you told people like, oh, one day the Islamic Republic will let women would be walking in the streets, putting their hijab here and showing their hair,
showing their ears,
showing their, you were like, yeah, sure. Now the regime is interviewing people on its own government TV that they're pro-regime while they have hijabs up to here. I saw a video of the government on TV, on government TV. There were people like having Iranian flag or Qasem Soleimani pictures showing like in pro-regime protests, right? Like they artificially have made and boosted to show like, no, not all protests are against the regime. And the people that they were interviewing, 80 to 90% of them didn't have proper hijab. Mahsa Amini, yeah, they were like, yeah, we're pro-regime and stuff. One of them had their hijab up to here. Like it was almost around just her neck, showing her entire head, and blonde. She had colored her hair blonde. And she was like, yes, we will not let this regime fall. I was like, sister, where's your hijab? What the hell is happening? How is the regime TV is like, she has, like, Mahsa Amini had so much more hijab than this woman that you're interviewing. I wish I could find that video.
Wait, that's so funny. It made you a solid kafir go, sister, where is your hijab?
Sister, you're supporting the regime without a hijab? Like, and the TV. And
we gave martyrs.
It's just such hypocrisy. Because on one hand, they go arrest somebody for just showing Mahsa Amini and killing a woman for just showing a little bit of hair. Okay, but on the other hand, they're ready to use, because you know why? Okay, I wish Susie was here. You know why, guys? Tell me in the live chat. You know why the regime, who is so much like, oh, we're gonna arrest everybody that is having improper hijab, blah blah blah. They have like the announcements that this is going to be the new normal. We have new fines for improper hijabs, right? But why? Tell me in the live chat, and Susie, why, when they're interviewing people and putting it on state TV, okay, government propaganda, why is 80 to 90% of the women who are saying yes we're pro-regime, why do they have their hair showing? Why they have less of a hijab than the woman they killed? The Mahsa Amini had more hijab than these women. Why do you think the ones that they show, like they had a lot of chadori, the woman that they were interviewing without improper hijab, she was surrounded by women with chador, but they give the mic to the woman that doesn't have a proper hijab to show on national TV. Why do you think that is?
Because they want to show that it's not just the religiously conservative looking people that support them. They want to show that their ideology is more popular than just the ones that look like they're conservative on the outside. Like we are everywhere. Like we're the liberal women too, by their standards.
But and also the fact that they know that this is the type of woman that people will listen to. Okay, that the Chadori woman, like is like, ew, like a lot of Iranian young people are like, why should I listen to her? She's like a religious like fanatic or something, right? That's not fair to some of them, but again, that's how that a lot of young people would feel like, right? So this is the kind of but they are such hypocrites. The message that people receive by watching that, like, you tell us that looking at this is anti-Islamic, but when it comes to your own propaganda, you're putting it on TV and showing it to us. Islamically, we shouldn't even be looking at this. We should be lowering our gaze. Why are you making us sin? We're all horny now because of the hair. Are you showing us? You made us all horny because we're seeing hair on TV, and now you're all sinning. You're sinning because we're horny. The TV is making us horny, and whoever put this on the screen is like committing a major sin. One sin for every person who's watching this, based on your own standards. You telling us that you making somebody see something so sexy is sinning for every person who watches it, and then you put it on national TV. What are we to believe? Like, you're willing to like piss on your own values when it comes to keeping the regime intact, and people see this. They see the hypocrisy, and they're like, you have no standards. You don't even abide by your own standards. You killed the girl. You killed the girl for having more hijab than this woman.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like trying to go to the bathroom quickly, and I just hear you screaming in my ear about horniness. I'm like, of course, Armin turns it into horniness. Of course,
that's what they say.
Because
they say
the horny jihad.
It's not my. That's what they say. They're like, ask them why we need the hijab. They say because you don't know, men get horny over everything. Like,
yeah,
you know what they true. They say. I mean, yeah, that's true. But what you can't. Okay, but there's no stopping that. Okay, here's the thing. They say that if women could see in men's minds, if they could see a glimpse, 1 second of what goes in men's minds, they would not wear the hijab. They would wear iron suits. That's what they say.
Honestly, probably true. They might be right.
They would say that's what they tell us. They would say women would ditch their hijab and they would go into the streets with iron suits. That's what they would do. They say hijab is the minimum. Okay, so that's what.
Well, I shouldn't generalize to all men. I just know what Armin thinks about, and I think that would be the appropriate response.
Hey, I'm proud of that. Okay, there's nothing ashamed. Nothing to be ashamed of. Like I don't. Yeah. Anyways.
Okay, the responses to your horny dissertation are killing me.
What? What is this?
Shriyash is like, I'll F my TV. And Sorko is saying, put a burqa on that.
I mean, to be fair, they don't have burqas in Iran, but okay. Chador.
No, the invention of a burqa. That's genius. That's basically what Ali Dawa and Daniel Hakikaju, what they do when they're interviewing women. They put a burqa on them.
Oh, burqa. Okay, I was slow today. Okay, I get it.
Oh my god.
I wish I had that video ready. You want me to look for it?
Yeah.
Okay. Talk to the
I think what you were saying in terms of like making examples out of women. So Bara Hart is saying they'll make examples until it becomes physically impossible. That's the pattern. Also, they're dumb, so we're not talking a lot of time. I think this is really important, is that we need to, even though we think that, oh, they're just making an example out of this person, they can't control the trend, they can't control the tide, we still need to be paying close attention to the people who they make examples out of. And we need to be standing with them and talking about what happens to them and fighting for them. Because we have seen that external pressure on the regime works. We have a lot of evidence for this. So we need to be keeping a radar and a finger on the pulse of what happens to these people so that we can be there to exert pressure when it's needed. What are you pulling up?
Okay, I'm gonna have to pull it from the place that I found it, which I don't want to, but I don't have any other chance because I saw this on Omi Dana's channel. That's where I saw it.
Our favorite, Omi Dana.
So I don't want to give this guy
any views.
Yeah.
For those who don't know, Omi Dana is basically a Persian fascist.
Yeah, he's a fascist.
He's a Zoroastrian apostate, but he supports the regime. It's confusing.
Okay, so look at behind him. That's the girl.
Wow!
Look, that's the girl that we're interviewing. So look, they were here. Like here's one example, like the Iranian people, like the pro-regime Iranians, right? Without the hijab, like without proper hijab. Mahsa Amini had more hijab than this. Look, this is pro-regime. This is the Iranian government TV. They're like, oh yeah, we love the country. Like we love Khamenei. Look with the images of Khamenei and Qasem Soleimani. And somebody has a Quran back there. God damn it, somebody has a Quran back there. And this lady has an outfit that is like like shows like we think as liberal. She's showing her hair. This is the same type of woman who get arrested for like this is illegal. This is illegal based on Iranian government laws. if she wasn't being interviewed right now, okay, she would be arrested by morality police. Yet they're using it. But it gets worse. Okay, so what? Like, 10% was like this. So we're like, Omid is saying like, oh, because he goes through so many examples of people showing their hair, and then he cuts to like, finally one with a chador. Like, he himself is like among all of these people that they're interviewing. But look, we keep zooming in on like the girls with that short hair. But like this one, like, okay, as much as I hate him, look at his reaction here. Like, his reaction, like like how, like, he's like, are you serious? He himself is like, are you serious here? Like, are you serious? Like, this is absolute hypocrisy. Look at how much hair they're showing. Like, she doesn't even have an hijab on. This is what is this? And like, he was like, is this he himself is like, are you serious right now? Is this possible? Oh my god! But the young people, this doesn't work because they try to use this as propaganda to show like who's with us. Even non-hijabi girls are with us. But the message that is received is that you motherfuckers, you arrest us for wearing the same thing, right? You pieces of, I don't want to swear, you piece of crap, right? You arrest us for this. But when it comes to your own self-interest, you're willing to use the same standards that you go around and put us in jail for. That's what people see when they... Yeah.
It reminds me of when they sent those girls who were social media influencers to the government office to promote family, getting married and having children to their followers. Remember? And these are girls that the regime calls whores, right? And they were so desperate for support that they pull these women to go to their government offices to discuss how can you talk to young women about having babies, basically. Yes. And the girls were making fun of them so much because they didn't even own the religious clothing required for them to go into the government building.
They were asking
their followers, where do I buy this kind of hijab? I don't even know where you buy this kind of thing. Like,
yeah. And when they were buying it, they didn't know how to put it on.
And they thought it was so funny to see each other's dressed so conservatively. It was a joke to them.
But they get called whores and these are like Instagram celebrities, right? Who the government calls whores and arrests and puts to jail. But then when they needed their advice, they were inviting them to come and give the government advice. But they asked them to go actually wear government standard hijab, and they were driving around, they were videoing themselves looking around the city for where to buy such a government approved hijab.
Call to their followers. They're like, does anyone know?
They're like, yeah. And then when they put it on, like, I'm suffocating. I'm dying. Like, I can't breathe.
When they go into the office, they still have it pulled back as far as possible. Yeah. But you're still not wearing it right. And the government they have no choice but to sit there on this panel and be like, please talk to young women about having babies because birth rates are abysmal and we don't know what to do.
They were like, we arrest you when it's your turn. But in the meantime, can you tell your female Instagram followers that marriage is cool and having babies is awesome, okay? Because they don't listen to us. You seem to have more influence, and our leaders are desperate. Like, we have a quota to fill, and you women are not becoming pregnant. We need you to make Shia babies for us. We need Shia babies, okay? Okay. Our regime is falling because we don't have babies. So get them to have more babies, okay? So it was, so the hypocrisy was seen there as well. It's interesting. Anyways. I'm glad you remember these things.
Yeah. Oh, that was one of my favorite things you've covered on Secular Jihadists. It was so funny. So I just wanted to highlight this one comment from Hooge is saying, sometimes it amazes me how they can jump from being sad to those bursts of laughter and horniness.
That's how life works.
It's a roller coaster here on Atheist Republic, okay? We know this, so we've embraced it.
You know what? You know who does the same thing? Okay, going from sad to bursts of laughter and horniness. Iranian women and girls right now.
No, I thought you were gonna say the people who cry for Hussein. That will cheer for no reason.
They're horny all the time. No. That's different. Okay, they're horny while they're sad. Okay, they're horny for Hussein while being sad. Okay, when they're crying, they're most horny. Okay, I'm serious though. Okay, Iranian women celebrate being sexy and laughing right after being released from prison and stuff like that, or right after going through the worst of tragedies. Not Iranian women as a whole, like the Iranian women, some of these activists that we see, right? So it's amazing how in the middle of absolute tragedy, they remember to dance, they remember to sing, they remember to laugh, and they remember to enjoy being a woman and enjoy being sexy. Okay, so sometimes I feel like I wouldn't be able to in the middle of all of that situation, but they make it happen.
I mean, you have to take your joy where you can.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, let's move to the next news.
All right, is the next news clappable?
We don't like it, but we'll clap.
Okay. Next news.
Islamists oppose anti-child abuse law, says kids will leave religion. Okay, guys, I have some shocking news coming out of the country of Jordan. Let me say things are bleak, okay? On September 19th, a new child's rights bill passed in the lower house of Jordan's parliament. The parliament is still divided over the bill. Since 2015, the National Council of Family Affairs, or NCFA, has been negotiating with the parliament to draft a national bill. The bill addresses child rights for healthcare, education, entertainment, and protections from forced labor, beggary, and addiction. The law of child rights was first drafted and then scrapped in 1998. They've been trying to pass this since 1998. Despite signing the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child in 1991 and ratifying it in 2006, Jordan lacks specific child protection laws. According to the National Study on Violence Against Children in Jordan, released in 2019 by UNICEF, almost 75% of children aged 8 to 17 had experienced at least one form of physical violence. Opponents of the bill consider it to be an attempt by Western NGOs to degrade the Jordanian family unit.
How?
Dr. Iyab Kunaibi, a prominent preacher, claims the rights bill will encourage children to leave religion and their families and live in a society of sexual deviance. Further, he claimed that the legislation is a UN-backed initiative to take Jordanian children away to be given to European families. General Secretary Mogdadi rejected the claims that the proposed law is too Western and subverts Islam. So this...
I didn't understand. I'm confused. Consider me confused.
So crazy. Wait, I have to show you this one headline. If I could get my computer to cooperate with me.
It doesn't seem like your priority is correct. Like, you want to leave children unprotected because, God forbid, they might change their religion? So it's better for them to be molested and abused than for them to leave their religion. I mean,
they're basically admitting that children stay in Islam because they're physically abused.
Nice.
Is that not what is the implication here? People are like, oh, we were hit, we were abused, we were beaten as children, we don't want children to be beaten. And they're saying, no, you can't pass stricter laws around this because children will leave Islam and they'll leave Jordan.
Yeah, yeah.
Like a little bit of a mask-off moment.
Yes, self-report. Yeah, if you can't discipline your child with enough force, they could just choose They could, they could. If you want to force your religion upon them, they might call child protective services and stuff, if there is such a thing in Jordan. So that makes sense. That checks out. You want to be able to control your children even with abuse. So basically what they're saying is that we want to be able to control our children even if it takes abuse. That's what they're saying, kind of.
Yeah.
I see.
Openly so. Openly that this is the headline, Armin. This took my breath away. Jordanian MP calls for beating children in protest against child rights law.
What? No. Is this satire?
This is not satire. This headline is real. This is real. In protest of this proposed child rights law that they've been trying to push since the late 1990s, let us beat our children to protest this law.
A symbolic move.
Let me say again what I saw this, and I knew what we had to cover this on the news. I was like, God damn, that is bleak.
I don't have anything to say. I have no words. Daddy, why are you slapping me? It's a symbolic protest, my son.
Against this bill that the parliament might pass. Because what?
Because it's my goddamn right to do so, and they're taking it away. And I'm slapping you right in the face to show them that they can't take this right away from me. Amazing.
Yeah. A Jordanian MP sparked controversy this week after calling for teachers to use corporal punishment against children as a last resort, saying it helped his own development and could help the current generation. The MP, Suleiman Abdul Yahya, said he gives any teacher permission to beat his children. And a lack of corporal punishment has led the youth to start dealing drugs, half of them right on the doorstep of the schools. So basically, this has to go through the upper house of parliament before it can be approved. And this is being fought tooth and nail by the conservatives and Islamists in the parliament.
Unbelievable. Again, here, let me actually bring this back up. Like, when you are fighting for the right to beat children, and the way you try to do it is to beat children, not because they did something wrong, okay, but because you want to demonstrate that this is your right, like you are on the side of more child beating, okay? How could you not see that you are on the evil side? Like if there's a good side and the bad side, you're most likely on the bad side. You're on the child beating side. You have the lack of self-awareness is amazing.
I want to give a little bit more background to what the opposition to this bill is saying. The law faced stiff opposition from the Islamists and conservative blocs of parliament, who saw it as a way of degrading family values and an imposition of Western values. What does it say about a culture when beating your children is considered an integral family value? I don't even know how to... I think it's shocking the degree to which violence is normalized. Shockingly normalized, if that's the case. Dia saying anything to not modernize, anything to not align with the evil West. One of the things that they're bringing forward as a reason of why you should beat kids is because they bring forward the statistics of the UK teen pregnancies. They're like, look at teens in the UK are getting pregnant out of wedlock. You need to beat your girls. Excuse me? Yeah. And the quote, the provisions of the law will give children great power and freedom that may push them to insult their parents and put their interests at risk, leading to the dismantling of families, said Dua Jaber, a Jordanian MP from the Muslim Brotherhood Associated Isla bloc. Fun. Some MPs also saw the law as redundant, arguing that the existing laws in Jordan and international covenants it signed provided enough protections for children. And let's talk about what is on the books. What are these things that they say is it's proficient? We got this covered. The Jordanian personal status law, which is derived from Islamic Sharia, expressly stipulates the right to a child of a stable environment, education, and health. It is sufficient to guarantee these rights. They're like, oh, don't worry, we have Sharia to cover that. Great. Just great.
Okay, I want to,
Oops.
just so that we don't run away from this. So for people who say like, oh, child people are getting pregnant, so that's why we need to beat them. Okay, look at adolescent birth rate in women aged between 10 and 19 years old, 2016. Look at the places where that's more common. Okay, it's not in the places where they have better child protective services. Okay, it's actually happening more where in places where there's more child abuse. So your reasoning is invalid. Okay, so I think I know why they're like focusing on the UK actually. If you look, UK is a little bit worse than rest of Europe, but it's still better than your own God Iblis forsaken countries, right? Like it's still UK. Yeah, maybe UK gets more headlines compared to the rest of Europe because it's back relative to their higher standards. Relative to your standards, UK is doing just fine. Just because they're getting more headlines, that doesn't mean they're crappy. Like if
people are fine with teen pregnancy as long as it's within the scope of a child marriage. Let's be clear.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, right. You're right. Actually, you're right. That's a good point.
You're fine with
like,
teen
oh yeah,
pregnant, as long as they've been married. Let's be clear.
You're right. Actually, that's another good point. But look, these are the same places. These places where it's dark blue, girls getting pregnant as as young as 10. Okay, these are the same places where they beat their children. So, yeah, no, your argument is invalid.
I like that. Yeah, no. Yeah, I just wanted to talk about this because I think it's important to highlight, like, I don't know, it's just so wild. Stuff like that is so wild. And when violence is normalized to that degree, I think it's worth calling it out and naming it. Yeah.
Yep. All right, we should move to the next news.
Yeah. This next news is so wild.
Okay, so I'm assuming it's clappable then.
Yeah, there's a bit of a twist.
Okay. All right, next news. Egypt adds sex education into the curriculum to stop homosexuality. What?
Yes.
I thought it was the good news, and then there was a twist.
Yeah. On September 15th, the Ministry of Education in Egypt sent a letter to educational directorates all over the country with the order to integrate sexual education and anti-sexual violence and harassment campaigns into the primary education curriculum. Although on the surface, this may seem highly progressive for the Middle Eastern country, its main goal is to stop the spread of quote-unquote homosexuality. Homosexuality is widely deemed immoral, scandalous, or offensive throughout Egypt. Although, according to Sada el-Balad, an Egyptian news site and satellite television channel, this decision was taken due to the increasing public concern that children might imitate deviant sexual behaviors, including homosexuality, by watching content through online streaming platforms. Egypt's Supreme Council of Media Regulation has banned many films containing homosexual references. It also recently implemented new regulations on online streaming platforms, such as Disney Plus and Netflix, to make sure that the content shown follows the, quote, societal norms and values. The Egyptian LGBTQ community often faces charges of immorality or, quote unquote, debauchery, which could result in a sentence of up to 17 years of imprisonment. I like that Sorgu just commented, Skittles turned me gay.
Read this one.
Adam Rickster is saying, had they taught me this, I would have never been gay today.
Missed opportunity. Unbelievable. I don't know. Do these people not have any understanding of how any of this works? Wouldn't this backfire? Wouldn't more people be curious about? This seems interesting. I mean, these old people think this is uncool. Must be something to it. Like, if something naughty. Like, I think, like, honestly, yeah, I think like they might actually turn some straight people by this. Like, if you're like, no, I honestly think that would. I really think it would have that effect. Like, what is this naughty thing we're not supposed to do? We should try it out. Like I don't know. If you're constantly talking about it as this evil thing, you're gonna create some curiosity about it.
I mean, I don't know why I'm laughing. I'm literally a bisexual Catholic schoolgirl, so.
Yeah, they're gonna make more Susies. They're gonna make more Susies. More Susies are gonna come out of this. Like, you know, on the plus side, more people will be bi, and a slightly downside is like his lifetime of trauma, right? As Susie can tell. So there's that. But more, yeah, guys, am I wrong? I understand that being bi is like if more people are capable of being bi, if they're introduced to the possibilities early on in their. So I think this might have that effect. I don't know. What do you think?
Well, okay, it's more dictated. Okay, the theory that goes back to the 1950s is basically that most people have some form of same-sex attraction. But the degree to which they express it is basically dictated based on the acceptance and safety of their immediate environment. Dia saying the forbidden fruit appeal. So what I thought was interesting was I was like, okay, so maybe there might be some like positive benefit here. Like, we can at least get some, decent sex education going in Egypt. But then I started to think about what sex education means in many parts of the United States, where sex education is basically just abstinence only education. And this is what the government the education from the state gives you because of pressure from conservative Christians. And then about, anti-sexual violence and anti-harassment campaigns. Like, that's good. That's positive. But then I was also thinking, okay, wait, what form is this going to take? Their anti-harassment campaign could be like, hey, girls, cover yourself more so that men don't feel like they can come after you, So I'm very skeptical about what.
Yeah, a Valentine's Day card could be a harassment for them.
Yeah.
Like genuine consensual romance could be portrayed as abuse and harassment and bad for them, right? So
yeah,
but we're gonna
or it could become or it could come in the form of basically victim blaming.
Yes.
And so I'm very skeptical about what this form of like sexual education is going to be. I'd be very interested to learn more information about it. But yeah, I think I don't know. What do you think about this giant backlash that we're seeing against LGBT content on streaming platforms that we've seen across North Africa and in the Gulf region? I think it speaks to like a great degree of insecurity. Like, they know that attitudes are shifting and they're like trying to hang on to it. What do you think?
I think they are. There's nothing they can do, and the stronger they stand against it, the more people they're advertising it technically by doing so. By the way, no man just gave us a super chat, so thank you for the 40. Is that rupee?
Yes.
40 rupees. Thank you so much.
Thank you, no man.
Yeah, but I mean, this is such a red line for them. Like, to have to greenlight movies and TV series coming out that openly celebrates homosexuality. These countries, like, I don't know if people can understand. Like, I think a lot of people in Western countries can't understand how big of a taboo this is, right? And for us to just see it displayed, like, at least, like, you have to do something, like, make it, if you're watching it, treat it like the taboo that it is, right? to just have it like on TV, like what parents watching cartoons with children where there's a gay couple in there. Like people are like, have the over there, like in some of these countries, people are like, have these people no shame? Like, how is this? Like, I don't know how to describe it. So for people to get the context, the feeling that they feel, like it's to them, it's kind of like watching broadcasting like porn. Oh, I didn't say PORN to minors. That's how bizarre this is to them, and how shows how degenerate and lost Western countries have become. It's such a taboo, such a red line that has been crossed, and they're treating it. They're surprised that they're treating it as if they're the weird ones, where obviously there's something wrong with them. This is why Putin was so popular among a lot of conservatives around the world, right?
Yeah.
Because they're like, why is the powerful Western world acting like we're the weirdos here when they're the weirdos, right? Like, so having somebody powerful acting like, okay, there's something wrong with the world and we need to fix it, made these people like, okay, like, thank you. Like, at least a powerful leader is like, the powerful country is standing behind his values and stuff like that. And that's why it's good that Putin has been crushed, okay? It's not just about Russia. It's about taking their man out, right? You know? So this is, but, okay, so I want to highlight some of these comments as well. Oh, yeah. So what do you think about this?
Do you think this grooming? What grooming?
I do think, I don't know if this is what D means, but a lot of sex education in conservative countries for the girls is kind of like grooming them. Do you know what I mean? Like is sex education is about reminding them their role in society and brainwashing them into little good sex slaves for their eventual, I want to say husband, but technically owners, you know? So that's what sex education for girls looks like to me when in conservative countries, right? I don't know if that's what Dee meant, though.
I think maybe she meant when you were talking about how this is going to turn people bisexual.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, technically, yeah. The conservatives. This is actually these two are good. They mentioned this side by side because conservatives see liberals' sex education as grooming them, right, to make them degenerates, and we liberals see their sex education as also grooming because we see them as just brainwashing girls to be good little slaves for their owners, right? So we both see their version of sex education as grooming children.
The solution is no one gets sex education. No, I'm kidding.
Oh wait, why did I remove the highlight from the?
Oh wait, that was so funny. Wait,
here I found.
Yeah, Baraye is saying my pansexuality is directly proportionate to my lack of sex education.
Yeah, that's good. Here, this one.
Tunisia was the first Arab country to add sex education classes in 2019. Wow. I learned this while researching this news. That's fascinating. Thank you for sharing that, Dee. I didn't know that. Suha is saying, I went to sex education class to stop homosexuality, and I ended up kissing a girl, and I liked it.
See, that proves my point. We got another super chat, another 40 rupees by No Man.
Thank you. He's saying at least they have sex ed.
No, we don't know how good it is, but yeah. Do you think it will do more harm than good, or vice versa?
Without any sort of concept of the content, I really can't say. But of course, having sex education come under the explicit framing of it being explicitly homophobic, like that, I think can be really negative because like LGBT people in Egypt are already faced with such a severe level of discrimination and hatred and abuse, like literal torture, that making that messaging even more explicit to children in the form of like your teacher telling you this, that it's going to imbue a lot of really damaging values to people. So I am worried about that. Nico is saying abstinence only sex education is like, hold it. Potty training. That's such a good way of putting it. When you're trying to, potty train your kids, instead of teaching them how to use it, you just say, well, just hold it. But I can't.
All right. Okay, can we clap for the next news?
Yes. This is pretty wild.
Okay. Next news.
Surveillance of Muslim members of parliament advocated for by the vice president of the Greek parliament. A Muslim member of the Greek parliament now faces a threat of thorough surveillance for national security reasons. New Democracy Deputy Parliament Speaker, MP, I don't know how to pronounce anything in Greek names, so I'm sorry. MP Charlambos Anthansiou said, if a Muslim MP might give information to Turkey from where migrants can enter the country, why should he not be checked and surveilled? Here, national security takes precedence. The uproar happened at a time when the relationship between Turkey and Greece has soured. The illegal crossing of refugees has caused many worries for the Greeks, and many believe Turkey uses this as leverage. As an additional backdrop, a vast political scandal resulted as a result of the Greek National Intelligence Agency tapping the phone and other communications of opposition leader Nikos Androulakis when he was running for the party leader of the PASOK Kinal party. The left-wing Syriza Progressive Alliance has demanded the dismissal of Athanasiou for the quote-unquote unacceptable statements. Syriza said in a statement, Mr. Athanasiou ought to know that national security relates to the intervention of a third country in Greece's domestic politics or involvement in criminal activity. They added, it does not relate to and may not relate to the religion of Greek citizens or deputies. Essentially, Mr. Athanasiou states that whoever is not Christian Orthodox is a national threat. So,
wow,
this is pretty wild. So there's like a larger backdrop here. So kind of one of the important backdrops is basically it's been revealed that there have been political party members that were being spied on by basically the Greek equivalent of like the FBI or CIA with potentially like the Israeli Pegasus spyware technology. So that's a huge scandal. And this guy who's the VP of the Greek parliament was being asked about this. And basically he gave a hypothetical example in which he is endorsing this and legitimizing it on the basis of that if there are Muslim MPs, they might feel more. Basically, he's basically treating them like a fifth column. Like they have more of an alignment with Turkey because they're Muslim. And they're going to betray us in our Greek Orthodox values. And they're going to be giving information to Turkey, who we have really tense relationship with right now. And because of a greater religious affiliation. And if that's the case, then it is totally legitimate for us to surveil them on that basis alone.
Kind of like how Jewish politicians are treated as if they're fifth column for Israel. It's similar to that. And like Jewish Americans are sometimes treated as if they're loyal more to Israel than the United States, even though their citizenship is American. I mean, Trump famously at a speech to Jewish Americans told them, your prime minister, referring to Netanyahu. To American Jews, he was referring to as your prime minister. Like, what? Are you talking? These are Americans.
Oh my
God,
no!
I remember that. Remember, that was such an embarrassment. It was so bad. It's such an embarrassment. It's also because it's like a Jewish like trope, like it's an anti-Semitic trope that like they're like, oh, they'll have loyalty more to Israel or something like that. But I think this is something similar. Yeah.
I wanted to find his full quote because the full quote is pretty crazy. Let us suppose that an MP has a religious orientation different than that of the Orthodox people, a Muslim MP from northern Greece, for example. This is not a barb, God forbid. If we take the example that he might give some information to our neighboring country, referring to Turkey, from where migrants will enter the country and so forth, why should he not be surveilled? Here, national security takes precedence. And he tried to cite a provision in the Constitution that states a law determines the guarantees under which the judicial authority is not bound for reasons of national security, and the laws protecting the confidentiality of communications. It's so wild. And so people have come forth and basically condemned him for implying that, like, Greek Muslims are not really Greek, that they can't be trusted.
It's such an anti-Greek thing. Like, you're basically devaluing your citizenship. Like, it's such a self-own. You're attacking the value of what it means to be a citizen of your country. Basically, you're creating two-tier citizenship. You know, second class, first class citizens, like Greek people, real Greek people, and not, you know, and maybe like citizens that, even if you're a politician, you're not really Greek, are you? That's what they're saying. So basically, a two-tier citizenship. When you promote an idea that there's two tiers to your citizenship, you're basically devaluing, you know, your citizenship, which is an attack on the country as a whole, attack of what makes being Greek valuable. So it's such a self-own. You're attacking Greek, you know, the structure, the foundations, and the legal structure that the entire country that is built upon, and threatening that to its very core. That's why it's so important to attack such nonsense.
Yeah. It's also shocking, like, how widespread these attitudes are. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of this has to do with, like, the geopolitical turmoil between Turkey and Greece, which I've been meaning to catch up on because things are getting spicy over there. But
oh yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. There's something you wanted to highlight?
Yeah, but something not relevant to the news. It's just a good reminder. Noman is saying, I don't know how, but I keep missing live streams or I'm late. Okay, make sure you're hitting the bell button. It should be right somewhere over there. It's on Susie's side. Let me switch sides with Susie so I can show you. Just a second. No, okay. There is somewhere right here. Okay, you showed it. Okay, so right next to the subscribe button, hit the bell notification and then hit all. Okay, so make sure you do that so you don't miss our live streams. Thank you for giving me the excuse to say this, by the way. All right, so let's go to the next news. Can we clap? Oh my God, this is Trump related. Speak of the devil. Can we clap for the next news?
Oh, wait, did I put the news in the wrong order?
Which one do you want me to bring up? Polish one or?
No, I didn't put it in the wrong order. It's, there's a Libyan one.
Oh, I didn't
Number
have that
7.
open. Why don't I even have that open for some reason? Okay, thank you.
It's okay.
Okay, yeah.
There we go. That's the right one.
All right, can I clap for it?
No, we don't like this.
No? Okay. Next news.
Next news. Libyan ex-Muslim Christian sentenced to death for apostasy. A young ex-Muslim man who converted to Christianity was sentenced to death on September 4th under the anti-apostasy law by the Misrata Court of Appeal in Libya. The accused has been identified as Dihya al-Din Ahmed Mita Balau, an information technology graduate who was previously a faithful Muslim man and was said to have memorized the entire Quran. It is unknown why he decided to convert to Christianity and how the authorities learned about this occurrence. According to the Middle East Concern, the man converted Christianity 4 years ago has been detained by armed militias multiple times in the past few years. During the proceedings, the Libyan convert was not permitted to have a lawyer for his legal representation in court. The young believer was pressured to abandon his faith in Christianity, which he refused. He was then forced to pay for the expense of publishing the verdict in a local newspaper, on a local radio station, and to display it outside of his home and the court. So this is really important to cover because people need to understand how being sentenced to death, executions for apostasy happen across the world. There are still almost around 10 countries where you can be executed by the state for apostasy. And like, this isn't something that only affects atheists. This is something that affects Christians as well. Anyone that leaves the Muslim faith. And so in that end, we stand by them. It doesn't matter that he became a Christian, you know? I thought that this was totally insane that he had to pay for the expenses of advertising his sentence. And what I thought was really interesting, Armin, is that the apostasy law in Libya is actually highly up for debate because there have been so many different governments in Libya since the fall of Gaddafi that this apostasy law was established by one government between like 2012 to 2014. And then that government got kicked out and it's like widely not recognized. But then the court, the highest court that handled this case, then dictated that no, they are going to observe the death sentence for apostasy.
That's crazy. And is this, correct me if I'm wrong, is this the UN recognized government? Because it keeps coming and going. Libya is like in such a mess. By the way, good job, Libya. This is what you should take with all the mess over there. This is the priority that you should be focusing on right
Here's
now.
one thing I wrote, because then I actually have a hard time. Like, which one is the UN-backed government right now? I don't even remember.
There's the West one and there's the East one, which for the Western one was the one that UN recognized. And then recently they got together and they agreed for elections, but then that fell apart. And then I don't know what happened after. This is the only one. This is the only war that Turkey was on the right side of. Russia was on the other side. Turkey was on the other side. France, for some reason, was on the wrong side of this. But anyways, that's a whole different other story. Libya is like in the past couple of years has been so complicated. Like there has been multiple government, multiple attempts at coups, and many different countries involved in Libya. So it's amazing that in the middle of all this chaos, they had found the time to get together and agree that they have to put ex-Muslims to death. So
here's what I found. Technically, Libya does not hold any national laws against apostasy. However, a 2012 to 2014 elected legislative body, the General National Congress, passed a law that a convert from Islam that refuses to recant can be executed. Domestic power struggles led to disagreements between the Tripoli and Tobruk-based governments. The current Tobruk-based parliament revoked all of the General National Congress laws. However, the Tripoli Supreme Court still chose to observe the old laws.
It's so, this is like, you know how you want to talk about Islamic countries and some people exaggerate, they say things that sounds absurd and couldn't be true, right? This sounds like one of those, like you think like, okay, this must be an exaggeration, right? He can't this is a country, like, you can't have your own lawyer. Like, you can't even get, like, you're being sentenced. Like, the legal system is refusing you a lawyer, okay? And the legal system is giving you a death sentence and is making you pay for advertising your death sentence to the public. Like, it's one of those cartoonishly evil examples of this is like, if you wrote a story, you would be like, this is too cartoonishly evil. Nobody would buy this. Like, it's too far away from reality. But here it's reality. But another aspect of this story, which is interesting. Oh, D has Africa related news information. So that's good. Let's read that. And then I will tell you.
He's saying the UN recognized government said this law from the previous Congress was voided when they were dissolved. The Libyan Supreme Court decided to recognize that law anyways.
Amazing. Even when the UN recognized,
You were about to say something though before we read.
I was about to say about the fact that some people defend apostasy death sentences by saying it would never happen because nobody would insist upon it when you tell them that they get to not get a death sentence if they just, regret. Like, for example, let's say I'm a Muslim.
Oh, come on.
and then I leave Islam, and they say technically the death sentence only happens if they come and give you a chance to come back to Islam and be like, I did a oopsie, I'm so sorry, and it will not happen. And then if you do that, you will come back to us and they would not execute you. So say nobody, if the government is coming getting you and telling you like, okay, say this and we will execute you, everybody will just be like, okay, fine. So nobody will get executed with this. But now we have an example here of this man, for some reason, refusing, for whatever reason, he's probably like horny for Jesus or whatever, right? And he's not he's refusing to come back to Islam, even if it costs his life. So yeah, you have examples like this. So even with that high standard, innocent people are going to get killed.
It's so bonkers that, okay, in multiple schools of Islamic thought, that is the policy. You get caught for apostasy, you have 3 days to recant. And if you recant and say, I did an oopsies, then we won't kill you. Otherwise, we're going to execute you. And then they say that there is no compulsion in religion, when this is the official policy of how to enact this hudud punishment. That doesn't make any sense. That's clearly coercion.
Yeah.
That is the most obvious form of coercion. Come back to us or we'll kill you. What? But there's no compulsion in Islam?
They say that you knew that when you convert to Islam, you knew that this is the deal. So they say there's no coercion in Islam because you came to Islam willingly, knowing that you can't leave.
Okay, but what about the people born into it?
Okay, if I want to put my modern, reformist Muslim hat on, the modern Muslim hat on, I would say like you can't be born into it. You have to accept it as an adult. Hey, I know all their tricks. So technically, if you don't choose, if you're a child and you raise a Muslim, by the age of reason, you have to willingly step into it for you to be considered a Muslim. Yeah. So that's I listen to a lot of Muslims.
No, I know, but it's just like the level of BS just has me going like, really? Really now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
All right. But do you like my level of Islamic apologetics knowledge?
Oh, I know it's good because it makes me really upset.
Do you think we're all born Muslim? Yes, we're all born Muslim, true, according to Islam, but there's kind of like a inconsistency here. Like, you are born a Muslim, but you're not really a Muslim unless you accept Islam as an adult. It's kind of like weird, but like they somehow make sense of it. Okay, can we clap for the next news?
Yes. Well, this is freaking wild.
Yeah, do I have the right one up?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Next news. Over 75% of evangelical Republicans want to make the U.S. a Christian nation. Wow. And actually, it's a lot worse than this. It's actually a lot worse than this because a new study finds that more than 60% of Republicans in the U.S. support declaring America a Christian nation.
65%
of
Republicans.
Over 60% of just Republicans.
Aren't Republicans supposed to be like constitutional values and whatnot?
Yeah.
So you're saying more than the majority of Republicans are against the U.S. Constitution. So they're anti-American.
And they know it too, and they know it because this.
Well, they're anti-American. These are American values.
Let's talk about it.
Okay.
The study, titled "The American Public Attitudes on Race, Ethnicity, and Religion," was published by the University of Maryland Critical Issues Poll. The study, conducted between May 6th to May 16th, 2022, involved a little over 2,000 respondents and asked two polarizing questions regarding religiosity and the Constitution. The first question asked the participants if they think, quote, the U.S. would or would not allow, the U.S. Constitution would or would not allow the U.S. government to declare the United States a Christian nation. 70% of the respondents answered that they think that the U.S. Constitution would not allow the declaration of the U.S. as a Christian nation. The remaining 30% who think otherwise are mostly Republicans at 43%, Independents at 28%, and Democrats at only 19%. The second question asked if they favor or oppose the declaration of the United States as a Christian nation, to which 61% of the Republican respondents said that they would favor it. The study also identified white grievance as a highly related factor to Republicans supporting Christian nationalism. Quote, white respondents who said that their members of their race have faced more discrimination than others are most likely to embrace a Christian America, the study added.
And this is a new brand of Christianity that these people endorse. This is like evangelical Republicans is not the type of evangelicals that we're used to. This is like QAnon stuff, right? This is Q stuff. This is Q nonsense.
Yeah.
And it's right. This is a new. This is so different. This is a new religion, by the way. Trumpism or QAnon. It has the appearance of the aesthetics of evangelical Christianity, right? But ideologically, it's kind of different. It's very much focused on conspiracy theories, Illuminati, the Satanic Panic, the Red Scare, anti-Semitism, and anti-trans, anti-LGBT. I mean, that's evangelical Christianity as well. But there's a lot more to it than just evangelical Christianity. It just seems like a lot of, other than the appearance of evangelical Christianity, a lot of the teachings of evangelical Christianity is not the core of their values. Like, a lot of these people talk more about Trump than they do about Jesus.
Oh my God, yeah. So I wanted to pull up some of these figures because I'm a very visual person and it helps me understand things to look at the visualization. And this brings up a very interesting point. So let's focus on these two things right here, and I have a few more. So most respondents say that Christian nationalism is unconstitutional. So most Americans actually, yes, 70% of Americans believe that declaring the U.S. a Christian nation is unconstitutional. Let's look at that. The majority of Republicans say that the U.S. Constitution would not allow it. However, when asked, would you favor or oppose declaring the U.S. a Christian nation, the majority of Republicans favor it.
So they're openly...
Republicans know that it's unconstitutional.
Wait, so they know it's against the Constitution, and they're still for it. So they're admitting that they're against the U.S. Constitution. These are Republicans. The Republicans are supposed to be like my Constitution. They're like they jack off to the Constitution more than their own Bible. No, but they're still.
You have such a way with words.
They do. And they're openly anti-U.S. Constitution. Amazing.
Yeah.
So we now know that the Democrats are more interested in upholding the constitutional values of the United States than the Republicans.
Overwhelmingly so. Look at these. 83% of Democrats oppose something like that, which is like almost entirely consistent with their understanding that the Constitution would not allow it.
Yeah. Amazing. That's pretty. I want to interview that group with it, like that believes that this is against the Constitution, but they're favorite as well. I want to interview them because this is like anti-American values. The Republican Party is anti-American values.
This also okay. much love to my friends who, support the Republican Party for a variety of reasons. Okay.
Wait, what? No love from me. Only Susie gives you love. But go ahead.
I mean, I have love for them for other things, right? Okay. Because these are people that are good people. Okay. We just have some major disagreements. Okay. But what the hell? How can you guys not be embarrassed as fuck?
I'm questioning whether you could be a good person and a Republican at the same time. I'm not sure about that.
I do have friends where I think they're good people. I really do.
I know. I'm questioning.
Severe disagreements about how to actually go about establishing a better world for people, right? I'm kidding.
Of course, but it's just like it's questionable though. Like I have to work hard when somebody is Republican, right? I have to make an effort to to understand they could still potentially be good people. It's really hard for me to accept that. If that's a fact, it's a pill that is hard to swallow.
Yeah. One thing that I thought was really interesting is that it also broke things down in terms of age. And so a lot of this is being driven by the silent generation and the baby boomers. This is who's primarily driving this trend. And this is particularly because, I mean, we also see it, in the Democrat side as well. The people who are of these generations are more likely to support these on the Democrat side. So what the analysis of these figures was saying was basically that in the moment, like we are like, they're saying that in our upcoming election cycles, we are going to see like a full swing into this, basically. We're going to see people double down and go down this vein because that's what there's a lot of support for it that's not being tapped into. And we're starting to see it being explicitly tapped into now. But the thing is, based on these generational statistics, that will be a political loser, they said, in the long term. Because there are a lot of people who are young people amongst the Republican Party that oppose this. The majority of young people in the Republican Party actually oppose these ideas. So they might end up jumping ship if they double down too hard on this.
Yeah. I just noticed something, okay? You know how I said these people are anti-American values, right? These are the same people, okay, who attempted the coup in the United States, right? So they're also against democracy, and they're also anti-police, anti-FBI, anti-cop, right? So they're consistently anti-America. Like they're against election results, they're against democracy, they're supporting a wannabe tyrant, and they're also against separation of church and state. They want to make it a Christian nation. They're against the legal system. They're against the FBI. They're against the CIA. So they're anti-American.
I mean, I wouldn't say that support for the FBI or CIA is like the qualifier of who is an American. These people proclaim themselves to be the most American.
They're anti-law enforcement.
They're trying to take it back from elites who have been corrupted by the deep state in their mind.
I know, but they think the deep state has taken over. Like they look at America and they look at something that has been corrupted and been taken by the deep state to everywhere, like the FBI, the CIA, all the politicians. So, and they hate it. So they hate America. They hate everything. That's why they said make America great again, because they believe that America is not great. So as much as they act like they love America, they like a version of America that does not exist. A version of America that thought they believed that they exist before. It never existed. So they have a dream. As Dee mentions, they're rewriting history. An idealized version of America that they wish exists and never will exist. So the America that does exist is an America that they hate. So they're anti-American. These people that act like they're patriotic are the most anti-American Americans. Where's Susie? I'm out of words. All right, let me see. Higgs boson is saying FBI, CIA are liberal organizations. Yeah, that's why they hate them. Imran is saying, to be fair, hating the CIA is being pro-democracy. And this used to be true more before than it is now. Okay, technically, every country needs an intelligence agency to be able to function, and I think the CIA has improved. I mean, it's hard to be as bad as it was before, but I think right now the CIA, even if CIA does bad things right now, say the CIA is a force for good than for evil right now. Without the CIA, the world would, like a lot of us are alive because of the CIA. So there's that. Yeah, D is saying these were the idiots from January 6th waving Christians and Confederate flags. They are white oh yeah, I'm not gonna read that. Supreme sandwiches. Shreya, she's saying strawman argument, Armin. Well, I don't know. Calling something a strawman without providing what the actual argument from the other side is not going to be very helpful. What is the Steelman version of it? Which one of the things, many things I said is a strawman? Gage in American is saying depends on which nation you're in. Yes, exactly. Well, I mean, right now I think like overall CIA is net is a force for good. Susie, come back. Sorry, every time Susie leaves, I'm forcing her to come back, but I take a lot of breaks myself. Higgs was saying they prefer FBI becomes like a Christian police again. Again, it was never like that. Oh yeah, let me D saying Armin email telltale. What is it? Telltale atheist. He knows all about this, and he said, yeah, sure, he might do an interview. Oh, well, Susie, I wish Susie was here. I'm gonna leave this on for Susie so she knows if she's interested in contacting. These days I don't really have time for interviews. I'm behind on everything, but yeah, maybe. Norman saying, I don't know how about keep missing. Oh no, I already read that before. Oh my God, Susie, come back. Oh, there we go. Susie,
I'm back. Sorry, I'm having a lot of health problems today.
Okay, let's go through the next couple of news fast then, so that you could go recover from all of this. Sorry about that. Let's have less commentary on the last two news. Oh wait, I'm not supposed to show. Can we clap for the next news?
Yes, we can.
Next news.
Polish pop star wins blasphemy case. So this is good news. In mid-September, the European Court of Human Rights ordered Polish authorities to pay pop star Dorota Labsiewska. Again, Polish words are a whole different world unto themselves. But she is known as Doda. So they ordered Doda to be paid damages in the amount of $9,300 USD for a ruling they overturned. The case goes back as far as 2009, when, in a television interview, Doda said that she was more convinced by dinosaurs than the Bible, adding that it's, quote, hard to believe in something written by people who drank too much wine and smoked weed.
Oh my God, I love her. That's amazing.
I love this woman. Chairman of a Polish Christian organization, Ryszard Nowak, responded by insisting she committed blasphemy as per the country's article of 196 of the Penal Code. Doda was formally charged in 2012, and the Warsaw District Court imposed a fine of roughly $985. The European Court of Human Rights disagreed with the Warsaw Court's ruling and decided that there was no reason to think that her comments would incite violence or promote hate speech. The court insisted that Doda's right to free speech was violated. The amount of the fine imposed by the Human Rights Court on authorities was 9 times that of the original penalty imposed on Doda. So, good news. Congratulations, Doda. And what I really want to highlight is, one, yes, we still have blasphemy laws in Europe. We have a lot of them, actually. Poland is the most gung-ho on actually enforcing them. But what's cool is that because of this, a lot of the, overarching European governmental bodies have called for the blasphemy law in Poland to be completely repealed and revoked. I don't know how likely it is, but it's really awesome to see that pressure coming forward and someone actually calling out what's going on and getting to the root of the problem, right? Because a lot of times they waffle and they talk about like the individual case and, oh, well, she didn't technically blaspheme because of like really stupid technicalities, when really we should be talking about a right to free speech, a right to free expression, and this is a violation of that, and a violation of international treaties that Poland is a signatory to. So it's awesome to see, like, European bodies calling out Poland for this and being like, you guys got to get this off the books. And now they have to pay her too.
That's amazing. I really hope that Europe, because Poland needs Europe's money. Like, they are addicted to that. Poland is one of those countries that has benefited so much for being part of the EU. And the government there acts like such ungrateful pricks, like standing up to the EU, like, oh no, these values, they're very conservative and they want to, they're standing up to the EU. And you're
horrible to anti-LGBT people, basically making abortion nearly impossible within the entire country.
So goddamn ungrateful pricks. Their country was lifted up so much because they're part of the EU. Financially, they have been lifted up more than most countries. They get so much gifts and money, and they act like they are being oppressed by the people in Brussels. What are you talking about? Name me a country that has benefited as much as you have. There's very few.
The only country that is worse than Poland on this is Hungary.
Yeah, and more ungrateful as well. This is why they made Hungary and Poland made a pact with each other, right? Because any form of punishment for not having EU values had to be approved by everybody except the country that this was about, right? So one country not agreeing would make it that the punishment will not go through, right? So Hungary and Poland had made a deal with each other that they will always veto anytime one of them is targeted, right?
Wow.
Right.
They got to fix that system. That's so stupid.
They are. That's what France is pushing to fix. France and Germany. I think it was Germany or France. But they're trying to come up with a double majority or something like that rather than a unanimous vote. So if they switch that, I think that's why Poland is now submitting a lot to EU, because they know that they're losing their power.
Yeah.
Well,
they can't stay aligned on absolutely everything. The difference in responses to the Ukraine crisis between Hungary and Poland are stark, Yeah. As much as, we're crapping on Poland for all the legitimate reasons above, we would all be screwed if it wasn't for Poland taking the stance that they have when it comes to the relationship to what's going on in Ukraine. Let's be honest.
Yes, but that's the least they can do after what the EU has done for them. Come on, you have to, but they're not doing that because they're because of their good values. They're just afraid of Russia.
Yeah.
But who's just saying what Armin said is correct? They say to be kept. I don't know what this means. Church is a huge support. Okay. I don't know what this means.
I didn't understand the rest of that.
But Poland, by the way, the amount of influence that the Catholic Church has over Polish politics is insane. And I'm hoping that the EU manages to fight that, because they are losing their power. Anyways, I was supposed to do less commentary because they're not feeling well. Sorry.
No. It's okay. It's okay. Those are all good important things. I like to flesh out the stories into a broader context anyways, Yeah.
Oh yeah, Gasian American is pointing out maybe it's because there's Poland likes existing. That's why they're taking their anti-Russian stance. Exactly. Poland doesn't have a very good experience with letting tyrants just invade countries, right? Last time the world stood back, they were the first to go. So this is taking a stance.
Yeah. Jesus.
Yeah. Oh, Eva is like, oh, I just joined in randomly, and I'm from Poland. Eva, you should go back and watch the story that we just covered. We're done with the Poland story, but you should watch it. Yeah.
Well, welcome.
Welcome. All right. I'm assuming that we can't clap for the. Yeah, we can't clap for it.
No, we can't clap for this news.
All right. All right. Next news.
So, unfortunately, I have to bring some sad news to you guys about someone who's very important to the Atheist Republic community who passed away recently. Atheist Republic mourns the loss of Confused Heathen. Atheist Republic is saddened to learn of the recent passing of an important member within the international Atheist Republic community, the Egyptian ex-Muslim that was known to us as Confused Heathen, or also known as Confused Hamlet or Labby to close friends. Confused Heathen was an active member of the Atheist Republic YouTube live chats and Discord community and became the founding creator and moderator of the Atheist Republic subreddit. Confused Heathen also founded the subreddit Ex-Egypt, which he created to bolster community and connections for ex-Muslims and ex-Christians in its sister Discord community. The Ex-Egypt community has already grown to nearly 10,000 members within the span of less than 2 years. No small feat. Many friends and supporters shared their memories of Confused Heathen in reaction to the heart-wrenching news. One Reddit user stated, "Heathen was the reason that thousands of Egyptian ex-Muslims found a place to call home, and the reason so many deep friendships and relationships formed, and hundreds of people owe her for changing their lives." And so I wrote this for our website, and I included a lot of dedications that people from the Atheist Republic community and the Ex-Egypt community shared about Confused Heathen. And just to clarify something, like Confused Heathen, as most of us knew him, used like different pronouns for different communities. So sometimes people say her, sometimes people say he. We're talking about the same person. So I wanted to share what I wrote about Heathen because I worked with them. And I said, if there's one thing I know about Heathen, I know that he deeply wanted happier and freer lives for his fellow Egyptian atheists. He was always looking for a way to do more, dissatisfied with the restrictions of online communities, yet faced with the stark danger and illegality of on-the-ground organizing in Egypt. He was young and dedicated more time and energy to others than people several decades his senior. His accomplishments and interventions on behalf of others are a reminder that the faceless activists often make a bigger difference in individual lives than the most celebrated figures. And I don't know, that's something that I think about a lot in the work that I do, because there are so many people at Atheist Republic and so many different organizations that I work with that do really difficult work to provide community to people, connection to people, or the extremely, taxing work of actually saving lives, like helping people get refugee status and stuff, helping them escape countries. And these are people whose names you will never know, faces you won't know. They don't get celebrated. They don't get recognition. But they're doing work that is so vital and can literally make a life or death difference to the people involved. But they're never going to be held up on a stage and given awards like Richard Dawkins, right? But the impact that they make is no less than that of our most celebrated figures. Sometimes I think it's more, because to those lives that they saved, that they positively impacted, it was so direct and so poignant. And I wanted to read something that a few other people wrote because I thought it was so sweet. So our friend Vince, our good friend Vince, he wrote, "It is nothing short of impressive to see what Heathen has done for ex-Muslims in such a short time. To say I was impressed with their work would be a severe understatement. I first met Heathen a little over 2 years ago. Heathen was part of a small coalition that compromised some of the first members of the Atheist Republic Discord server. We would often be talking with each other whilst playing some online games. We all got to know each other fairly well and bonded over similar values and beliefs. We didn't speak to Heathen as much as we used to once he started up Ex-Egypt and strove to make a better world for ex-Muslims, but we always kept in touch. It's absolutely heartbreaking to hear about what happened. Heathen deserved so much better. He was immensely inspiring and caring to people that made the lives of many people better off by creating a community they felt comfortable in. Heathen may be physically gone, but his spirit lives on in the grand work they've done and in the lives they've inspired. Wherever you are, I hope you found peace." And yeah, I think to a lot of people that knew Confused Heathen, we just want, I don't know. There's a lot of people that are really struggling out there, you know?
I'm going to put a link. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah.
There's a lot more statements here. So I'm going to put a link to this article. All of our articles are in the description, but I'm just going to put this here in case anybody wants to read more people that wrote about it. Yeah.
And at the bottom of the article, there's a link to where our Atheist Republic members actually created a, what do you call it? Basically like an in memoriam page where other people can continue to add dedications and where you can read a lot more dedications. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
oh.
Yeah, there's a lot up there. People sharing memories and funny jokes and why he mattered to them.
This is beautiful. Some of them are in Arabic. Oh, Vince is here. Yeah, this is beautiful. Okay, this is very beautiful. Oh, Afshin posted his conversation. No.
Yeah, they're posting screenshots of their inside jokes and stuff.
That's cute.
Yeah. So I know it's really hard when...
I want a page like this if something happens to me one day.
Armin, you can't talk about that. I'm going to have a mental breakdown.
Okay, sorry. Oh, yeah, Sheikh is saying that kid deserves a better life. Yeah, and we don't even know we don't even know, like, did they die in complete loneliness without anybody knowing who they are, what their name is, what they look like? Like, maybe when they died, like, there was nobody that knew anything that this person has done, all the activities that they were involved in.
I know that Confused Heathen had a few, like, closer in-person friends because that's how we were actually able to find out what happened, you know, and they could bring that information back to us. Yeah. But, you know, I don't know a lot about what was going on in their situation, but I know that there was a lot of stuff that was really dangerous for them and they couldn't be themselves.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry that this was the last news, guys. All right. I don't know how to end this. Do you want to say something? We're going to have less depressing news, hopefully, next week. Hopefully, one of these days, we'll start a news segment by saying, one day, we will start our live stream saying Iran is free. That would be nice. That would be a nice gift to all these anonymous activists, right? To a lot of these anonymous activists, right?
Yeah.
Do you think we will, when they have us open our stream like that, Iran is free? Iran has, yeah. Well, hopefully, okay, here, to better days. Today's with better news. Okay, good. Is that a good way to end the stream? Yeah. Guys, I don't know what else to say. This is hard. Please share our videos so we could grow the channel. Sorry that sometimes our news are not very happy. And hopefully we will be more cheery in other news. All right. Love you guys. Bye.
Oh, kisses.